San Diego, it's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the Gaslamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime year.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
What's up, San Diego? And a happy Thursday to everybody out there in America's finest city. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each and every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. What a fun roundtable today was. It was great to have Ted Leitner on with us on the roundtable. If you missed any of it, you can go back and watch it on YouTube. It will re-air again tonight in the 5 o'clock hour on Gwynn and Chris. But it was, Ben Higgins hosting the roundtable as he normally does. Me, Chris Ello, Steve Woods, and Ted Leitner. It was phenomenal. And the best part about it was, honestly, and we knew this going in, it was about just sitting back and listening to Ted. It was great. It was great to sit back and listen to Ted tell so many different stories. I thought it was awesome. I thought it was so fun to listen to some of those stories. It was cool as a kid growing up in San Diego, listening to Ted Leitner do ball games. So, to be on the show and do a show with Ted, in some capacity, it was pretty awesome today. I really enjoyed that. I thought it was great. I thought it was fun. And he had so many great stories. I mean, Ted Leitner I thought Ben during the seventh inning stretch was going to ask what your favorite Tedism was. There was a couple of those dropped today. He had Chris Ella go, "Bite me." That's always a good one from Ted. But my favorite part about listening to Ted Leitner broadcast as a kid, and what I try to emulate when I do play-by-play myself for USD, is, he really follows exactly what they teach you in broadcasting and teach you in broadcasting school of know who you are, who your audience is, and try to tell your audience what is happening in the game. And the best point of the best way to do it is to think about your grandmother or one of your family members or something like that. You're just individually telling them what you're doing or what the game is showing you. You are the eyes and ears of the audience. I thought Ted did a great job as a broadcaster of making it the most personable broadcast possible. He would call games and it would just feel like he was just talking to you directly. And he would use the nicknames of the players, and he would talk about them in a personal level, not just there's such and such the ball player. I mean, he would call him Toddy, right? Or he would say him by the first name basis. Use the nicknames, have fun about it, tell stories. I thought his style of broadcasting was great. And it was a treat to hear. So it was awesome today to listen to a lot of the Ted Leitner stories that he had of being a broadcaster, of some of the different stories about Ray Kroc and Joan Kroc, some of the previous ownerships of the Padres, him talking himself into trouble when he was doing stuff for CBS 8 back at the time. He was doing his Ted Leitner newscast. So I really enjoyed today's roundtable. And I really think if you missed it, you got to go back and listen to it. It was some pretty funny stuff. I mean, I thought it was pretty awesome. I don't know how much of it you caught, Frank, but it was cool to hear Ted Leitner, a New Yorker that came over to San Diego in the 70s after going to college at Oklahoma State, join the show, tell some stories. I mean, he had some good stories in the roundtable today.
Oh yeah, and I've always loved listening to Ted, and I introduced myself when the first year of Snapdragon. I went to an Aztec game, and I introduced myself as, "Hello, Frank Marchese. Nice to meet you. I must say, you are the first and only broadcaster to ever make me laugh while the Mets were getting killed." He was always so entertaining when he was doing games. It was so much fun to listen to, and today was really no different. A lot of great stories, a lot of fun memories, and a lot of interesting stuff that you don't always get to hear.
Right. I mean, it was cool. I like hearing a lot of those stories. I mean, you got the the story about him and Jerry, because I could totally picture, based on, because I remember games with him and Jerry Coleman, as a kid. Now, I didn't get as many of those years as a lot of you fans out there have gotten, that were able to get. But the story about just filling up, because he gave the perfect perspective of what we talked about last week on. I watched so much bad baseball for the Padres that it doesn't really matter what they're doing right now in a slump. This is still the golden era of Padres baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be small amounts of time where they're not going to play well. I mean, that guy has seen so many years of baseball, of Major League Baseball. You think he hadn't seen some of this stuff before? But I thought it was great to for him to, re-illustrate a lot of the stuff that we talked about on the perspective of what this team is. Because the question was, and we're going to get to this later on the show, the Padres just got swept by the Phillies. I mean, last year they lost 6 straight games to the Mariners and the Blue Jays in the middle of the May. I mean, they lost 6 straight. Maybe they're doing that. Maybe they're about to do that right now. Who knows? But they still end up winning 90 games last year. But he mentions the slumps, and he mentioned that teams are going to go on these losing streaks. But the funny thing was the story of him and Jerry filling out their scorebook to call a ball game back in some bad baseball for the Padres, some eras of some bad baseball, and telling the story about how Jerry Coleman looked at his lineup, looked at the lineup of the Padres, and then looked at the opposing lineup, was like, this is a lineup right here. What I'm looking at right now, we have no chance. We have no chance. I thought there's some really funny stories today that I really, really enjoyed. I thought it was great. I mean, I think it's nice to take a pause from the everyday. I know the Padres lost 4 straight. I know they're not hitting very well. I know everybody wants a knee-jerk reaction solution to fixing the Padres offense. Like we could just, we're just not doing this. Let's just immediately flip a switch and get everybody fixed. I understand that, but sometimes, Frank, it's good to kind of step back, have a little perspective on an off day, and hear some fun stories.
No, it absolutely is. And those are always the stories that I love hearing, hearing stories of on-field stuff, things that we've seen, and adding context to it. Those are always fun. But hearing, I could sit there and listen to Jesse and Tony banter pregame or in between breaks for hours. Just those are the stories I love hearing, the stories about what we don't get to see, what we don't hear about in the media. Those are always, to me at least, the best stories. I can listen to stuff like that all day long.
I can too, and I don't think one person in the chat is all upset that they had Ted Leitner on and it wasn't talking about the nuts and bolts of what the Padres are doing right now. What else do you want us to talk about during that hour that we haven't already discussed? I mean, we're going to talk about all the nuts and bolts for the next 4 hours. You're going to hear it on Bennett Woods. You're going to hear it on Gwynn and Chris. I mean,
it's 4 hours. Try 9.
Yeah, right. You're going to get the whole day for us to say what exactly. They're not hitting. I don't know how much more you got to say it for anything to happen. And I agree with Ben today. Ben brought it up about some of the criticisms, and he mentioned what he's feel is fair to criticize and what he feels is not fair to criticize. Physically not getting results at the plate is not fair to criticize. There's nothing really more that needs to be said. And as Ted Leitner said, That's like yelling at the table to just keep yelling at the table until it gives you water. Just keep doing it. I don't know how much more needs to be said. They know they need to hit better. You and I saying they can't hit, is that going to really do anything in the long run? It's not going to do anything.
We've said it every day for the last month, and it hasn't changed.
It hasn't worked. Maybe we should talk. Maybe we should say something else. Maybe we should personally attack them like a lot of people on social media want to do.
Maybe,
I mean, think about how idiotic that sounds.
Maybe we should tell them not to hit. Don't hit. Maybe it's reverse psychology. Guys, bat 100 for the rest of the year. We'll be okay. Maybe that'll work. Maybe they'll hit tomorrow now.
I mean, just have some perspective. We'll get into the negative stuff in a second. I thought there were some still interesting talking points on the roundtable. I have a trade idea that I want to get to later on the show. We didn't get to it on the roundtable. It popped in my head as we were discussing what do you make of this Padres want some bullpen help? And my wheels started to turn about a certain Padre in the bullpen who's a free agent at the end of the year that could probably get a lot back that you can then convert into maybe a bat if you acquire another bullpen arm. We'll talk about that later on in the show. We got a lot to get to today on the Braden Surprenant show. We got, with an off day, obviously we're going to talk about yesterday's game. We're going to talk about what they did in the Phillies series, or what should I say, what they did not accomplish in the Phillies series. We're going to talk more about getting you ready for the Washington Nationals. Padres have an off day today, so we'll get to that later on. Jaden Taylor of the Fort Wayne Tin Caps, he is a broadcaster for them. He will join us in the 11 o'clock hour. We'll have Bob Scanlon in the 1 o'clock hour. Major League Baseball Players Association has initiated the contract, or should I say the negotiations for a new collective bargaining agreement. They had some interesting things in there, some interesting rules that they want to be implemented that we'll talk about. And I think that's a good starting point. I honestly, when I read the proposal from the Players Association, yes, obviously it's very much a favorable one for the players, but I think it's a great start to start negotiations. We'll talk about that in the noon hour.
And Major League Baseball is set to propose a counter proposal coming up, one with a salary cap at some point today. So maybe we'll get the news before we start talking about the Players Association. We can break down both sides.
We'll do that later on in the show. So we got a lot to get to, but when we come back, we'll recap what happened yesterday. We'll talk about the Padres-Phillies series and what to expect with the Nationals as we just get started here on the Braden Surprenant Show, Static Zimmerman Sports Station 97.3 The Fan.
The NFL schedule is out, and some teams already won before the season even started. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, huge winners. Kansas City gets extra recovery time for Patrick Mahomes, 2 straight home games, and a perfectly timed early bye week. Meanwhile, the Philadelphia Eagles may have the cleanest road to another NFC title, but not everybody got lucky. The 49ers have 2 international games plus a brutal late-season stretch. The Miami Dolphins might have the hardest schedule in all of football. And then there's the Bears, 6 short weeks, weird kickoff times, and nonstop routine changes for now in his earlier terms as the head coach in Ben Johnson. So how much should scheduling matter in the National Football League? Because some teams clearly got help and others got buried. The full 2026 NFL schedule finally came out. And as always, it's not just about who teams play, it's about when they play them, because schedule releases can absolutely shape a way a season plays out. Rest advantages, travel, primetime exposure, bye week placement, international games, short weeks, all of those things matter. And after looking through the entire slate, there are some clear winners and losers this season before the season even kicks off. The biggest winner is Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. Let's start with them. He's coming off a torn ACL. He's made it clear that week 1 is his target, although who knows if he's able to play by week 1 at full Patrick Mahomes potential or not. And the NFL, well, they quietly helped him out. They get a final Monday night slot of opening week, so a couple extra days of rest just in case to try to get him activated for week 1. 2 straight home games to start the season, and a week 5 bye, and a relatively manageable early stretch before things get brutal later in the year as Patrick Mahomes navigates this torn ACL injury. That setup gives him extra rehab time, a softer runway, and a chance to ease into the season before the Chiefs hit that late year gauntlet that includes Buffalo, the Chargers, and more division games. If he's even close to healthy by October, Kansas City could be dangerous again very quickly, and the schedule really plays into their favor. The New York Jets might actually have hope, yes. And then there's the Jets might change a little bit with their schedule. Here's the interesting one. New York Jets head coach Aaron Glenn. Year 2 pressure is real after only 3 wins last season, but the schedule gives the Jets a chance to breathe. 4 of their first 8 games come against the Titans, the Browns, the Dolphins, and the Raiders. Those are very much winnable games. If the Jets simply handle business early, they could be hovering around 500 midway through the season, which honestly would be, completely change the energy around that franchise. And in New York, it's all about momentum, especially when it comes to the sports teams in Manhattan. The NFC North is going to be chaos. Green Bay Packers look like the schedule winners out of the division. They've got several cold weather home games late in the year, 5 primetime games at Lambeau, a bye that lines up nicely before Thanksgiving, and a softer opening stretch than some division rivals. Meanwhile, Chicago Bears got hammered with scheduling quirks. Second-year head coach Ben Johnson now has 6 short weeks, multiple odd kickoff windows, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday games, destroys routine, and the coaches hate routine disruption. No matter if you're in year 50 or year 2, year 1, it doesn't really matter. The Bears are talented, but this schedule is going to test their preparation every single week. Eagles got a gift. Philadelphia might have the cleanest path to the NFC. There's some tough games in there for the Eagles, but there's no overwhelming murderous stretch. Their bye week lands very well. Their holiday schedule is very favorable, and even their road stretches feel very manageable. That matters for a team trying to become the first NFC East franchise in decades to win the division 3 straight years. The pressure is still there on Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni, especially with questions surrounding A.J. Brown, but the schedule absolutely helps out the Eagles. In terms of the biggest losers, it's got to be San Francisco and Miami. The Niners got absolutely worked by the travel schedule. They're opening their season up in Australia. They got another international game in Mexico City. They have brutal late-season road trips and one of the toughest closing stretches in all the National Football League. That's rough even for a veteran roster that the Niners have. Meanwhile, the Dolphins may have the hardest schedules in the entire league, not just the AFC. 3 of their first 4 games are on the road. Late-season trips to Buffalo, Denver, and Green Bay, all places that are very cold late in the season, and their final 6 games are against playoff teams from last year. That's brutal for a rebuilding team with a first-year head coach. Last thing for you, don't sleep on the New Orleans Saints. They were kind of a sneaky schedule winner when the schedule came out. The NFC South feels wide open again. It's really wide open almost every year. And while the Saints have some very tough games early, their overall schedule is very manageable. Only 1 primetime game for the Saints, no overwhelming travel stretches outside of the game in Paris. And if they survive those 2 weeks, they might quietly hang around and be part of the playoff race all year, especially in the division like the NFC South. The NFL season isn't one in May, but schedules absolutely they absolutely shape expectations. Some teams got smoother ramps, others got landmines, and in a league where 1 or 2 wins can decide playoff spots, bye weeks, travel, and
10:18 on a Thursday. We're broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. It's the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego's number 1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We're going to be here till about 2 o'clock. Gwen and Chris take over at 2. We'll have the roundtable re-aired at 5. Ted Leitner was our special guest today. Awesome to hear his stories, and a lot of stories that I've never heard of or heard before, which was great. And if you missed it, 5 o'clock, we're going to re-air it. You can also check it out on our YouTube pages at B_SURP on YouTube or at 97 through the Fan SD. Great time talking with Ted Leitner earlier today. Loved every second of it. It was a blast. We are going to now talk about the series that was, and that's against the Philadelphia Phillies, who you played at the wrong time. I mean, it's never who you play, it's when you play them. Phillies have just got red hot. Really feasting off the schedule that they had after making the managerial change. They were tough to beat, but they're hitting the Padres at the right time. The Padres that have been struggling at the plate. Now a negative run differential at -1 as they sit at 31-24. And we're going to get to the question just a little bit that was posed by Dennis Lynn. are the Padres the worst of the good teams, or they are the best of the bad teams? And we'll get to that later on.
Are they a bad team, or are they the worst good team?
Worst good team? That's what I said, to an extent. Is that what I said? I said, are they the worst good team, or are they the best bad team? That's the same thing.
Okay, fair enough.
Is it not the same thing? I mean, it's the same thing.
Well, fair enough. All right.
Wasn't the direct quote. It's all right. We got to make sure we quote the headline properly.
Exactly. It's only the headline of the article, you know.
That's right.
It's only the title of the
Does anybody
article.
read the articles, or do people just read headlines?
No, it's just a headline. Headlines.
Does anybody watch our show, or do they just read the title you come up with?
The headline gives you all the information you need to know.
Yeah, that's it. There's nothing else in there that's, have facts that actually put context to the situation.
No.
Just read the headline. I can't believe that's going on. And
No
then you read
way.
It's so funny. Sometimes I click on those articles and then it's not actually what the headline says. Go Essex brings up a good point. I don't watch any of the Padre games, so.
That's true. Yeah, he was on his phone the whole time we were at the game yesterday.
Yeah, just had no idea that.
No, he was watching YouTube.
That Walker Buehler had 50-something pitches and was taken out of the sixth inning. Let's talk about yesterday's game. Look, I get people are, freaking out. The Padres are tied with the Diamondbacks now in the standings. It's not who you play. It's when you play them. It's when you play. When you play these teams. And right now the Diamondbacks are in a good part of their schedule. The Padres are in a very tough part of their schedule, and they need to take 2 out of 3 this weekend in Washington to finish May with a 500 record, which is the exact same thing they did last year. They went 500 in the month of May. We'll see what the Diamondbacks have. If the Diamondbacks go up and beat up on the Dodgers, then, maybe there's something to worry about. But as mentioned before, they already played the Dodgers once. They got swept. They lost 2 out of 3 to the Pirates. They've had 2. Most of their wins have come against teams below 500, which is what you do as a good team. But until they start beating up on some of the teams at the top of the division or at the top of the National League, I'm not overly concerned about the Diamondbacks at this point. It's only them that you're really competing with in the National League West. I mean, the Giants are basically out of it at this point. Rockies were never really in it. You're competing with the Diamondbacks, the National League Central, and the Phillies. I know the Nationals are a game above 500, but I just don't see them finishing the season strong. They're hot right now, too, so that's going to be something that the Padres are going to have to deal with coming up this weekend. Let's talk about yesterday. Let's talk about yesterday's game. Overall, I thought the Padres put together better at-bats than we've seen. And then for every, good at-bat that they put together, it was mixed in with a bad at-bat. They had a selfless at-bat and then a selfish at-bat. I mean, it was back and forth. I thought they got some good hits against Christopher Sanchez, who still has not allowed a run in however many innings it's been. What did he go, 7 innings yesterday?
Yeah.
So it's now, 44 2/3 innings? He is not allowed a run?
Sure, math.
Think so. He's almost gotten 45 innings without allowing a run in a row.
That's the best way to put it.
It's remarkable how good he has been, which is only a matter of time. And the Padres got a guy, they had Fernando reach, get the second, both kind of a ball bounced their way, unable to capitalize with runners in scoring position. This entire homestand, they only had one hit that drove in a run that wasn't a home run. The entire homestand.
So I think they went 0 for 35, 0 for 34 with runners in scoring position in the final 4 games of the series.
Correct.
Homestand.
In fact, one of the hits with runners in scoring position, I think it might have been just one over this homestand, didn't even score a run. It just got a runner from second to third. So that is...
It's a hit.
Right. It's arguably just a ridiculous level of ineptitude out of the offense. I mean, it's so bad that it can't possibly get any worse. It can't possibly get any worse. I mean, that's where you're at right now with this offense. But yesterday, I thought the Padres were able to get hits off Christopher Sanchez, but getting runs against them is difficult to do. It's very difficult to do.
Well, at least it's not raining.
That's true. But when you look at the way the Padres had played over the homestand against the Phillies, I thought yesterday they played a little bit better. Walker Buehler, for some reason, cannot make it to the 6th inning. And the decision there, and I miss what Craig said after the game, but as I sit and think about the decision to take Walker Buehler out, who I thought up until that point in the game, the shame is Walker Buehler's ending his night 5 1/3 with 2 earned runs. But I honestly thought up to that point when they took him out, he had outpitched Christopher Sanchez.
Yes.
He faced the minimum up until that inning. Now, he wasn't throwing a no-hitter, but he was getting double plays. He was getting soft contact. He was letting his defense play. I mean, Walker Buehler had faced the minimum going into that inning. Couldn't say the same about Christopher Sanchez, who also was brilliant yesterday. That's how good Walker Buehler looked in his outing. And then you got to that, but then things for some reason, it doesn't matter how many pitches it is or where he's at in the game or the order, whatever it may be, the 6th inning has been a problem for Walker Buehler. And yesterday, in the 6th inning, after getting the first man out, he gives up a single, and then he hits the bottom of the order in Sosa. And so now the decision becomes, do we let Walker Buehler face the top of the order that has 2 lefties in it in the 6th inning, despite however many pitches he has? Do we let him do this? Or in a game that we really have to have, wasn't a must-win game, but it would feel a lot better if they won it. Do we go to the bullpen and bring in a lefty with 1 out that's probably going to have to face 2 of their best players? Well, he's going to face 3 of the top of the order, and 2 of them being lefties. I understand the move at the time and the place, especially with the success that teams have had the 3rd time facing Walker Buehler. I honestly, even though it didn't work out, I understand the move, and I can't hate the move by Craig Stammen. The reason why people might hate that move yesterday is because of the results. You have to look at it from the perspective of, in that situation, what would you do? And I kind of agree with Craig. I get the pitch count, but to be honest with you, I understand why they made that move, and I probably would have made the same move because you were starting to see things a little bit unravel for Walker Buehler in a situation that you've seen him unravel in a handful of times.
Yeah, and again, he was fantastic yesterday. He did everything you expected him to do. You did everything you wanted him to do. 5 1/3, 2 runs that were driven in off of Morejon, 3 hits, 2 strikeouts, no walks. And his pitch count was at 58 when he came out. So not only did he face the minimum, he about pitched the minimum as well. He was cruising yesterday, and then the 6th inning comes along, and the wheels fell apart. The wheels fell off on him.
I thought he pitched really well. I really did. I mean, unfortunately, the bullpen's going to look like, again, they didn't get charged with any of those runs. I mean, Marinaccio, he ended up giving up a home run to Trey Turner late in the game. So the bullpen's going to give up 1 run there. But, Morejon was unable to strand the inherited runners, which is unfortunate. I thought offensively, you got to see a little bit there. We're going to talk about Jackson Merrill in just a little bit. I thought he looked better at the plate, against a really tough player in Christopher Sanchez. I mean, Manny missed a home run twice off Christopher Sanchez. I mean, he just missed it twice. One of them,
The first one would have been out in next week. The second one would not have been.
He hits that ball next week against Christopher Sanchez at Philadelphia. It's a home run. That's a home run at Citizens Bank Park. I mean, that's how razor thin this thing is. And honestly, that's why I can't just sit here and scream about the offense, because sometimes it's just that little bit that's the difference between you hitting 280 and you hitting 215 is like that little bit of a miss. That would have been interesting if Manny had all hits he did. He had all hits this week. This homestand were all home runs. So it looked a little bit better. It wasn't great, but I can't sit here and scream and bitch and moan about the offense because at this point, it's just wasted effort.
Army Time 11. Let me ask you something. What do you want us to say in the chat? Saying we always agree with Craig Stammen, just waiting for him to admit he was wrong.
I don't always agree with Craig Stammen. I thought yesterday was a good decision.
What do you want us to say? What do you want? Please let us know what you want.
There's
us to
a lot of people that want us to emotionally just erupt with every decision the team makes when things go poorly. And they want us to just overly erupt with excitement with everything that happens that makes things good. What does that make you?
A windsock.
A windsock. I will not be a windsock.
176, but ball almost go out. Brother.
It was close. I mean, he was just under it.
Have you not listened to the show the last 2 or 3 days where we've said that what Manny Machado is doing is not good enough?
Correct.
And that he's off to a career worst, and he knows it, and he's taken accountability for it.
Again, he did it again yesterday.
Yes, he did.
He did it every single day. He did it every single day this week.
Yeah,
I'm actually impressed.
You got 3 post-game comments from Manny Machado. When was the last time you saw that happen?
As I look at Manny doing the post-game stuff, as somebody that has gone down there hundreds of times during the Manny Machado era of Padres baseball, I think I count on one hand how many times he did it back-to-back days.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost never. I will say this. I don't want to it's hard to apply. I appreciate Manny sticking in the front and taking responsibility for this because he knows it's him. I honestly think that's great for Manny. I mean, this is 3 days in a row. He talks with the media and owns up to I got to hit better. We got to hit better. He defended Steven Souza Jr. yesterday. So did Craig Stammen. And we'll talk about that in just a little bit.
I'm used to Boston and Detroit sports talk where they're just massive tirades. Talk radio here is so chill. Part of the reason why you're so chill right now, they're still 7 games over 500. If they were playing like this and they were 7 games under 500, yeah, we might be a little less lenient. But right now, you're still sitting in second place. You're still sitting in a playoff spot. Yeah, you lost 4 games in a row. Not great. That made a long flight, trust me, I know, to Washington, D.C. even longer last night, knowing that you're going into D.C. against the third-place Nationals, currently on a 4-game loser. Not good. But because you're still 7 games over 500 and in a playoff spot, what are you? Of course, yes, you have to acknowledge that there are things wrong. And we have been acknowledging that things are wrong. And again, to that comment that I read, I grew up in New York, on New York sports talk radio. We're not doing anything different right now than what would be happening on WFAN right now. We're doing nothing different right now.
Yeah, Frank worked there.
I worked there. I listened to it my whole life, and I worked there.
Frank has physically worked with all of these people that are known to cry. The thing is, though, I think with social media, the people that don't actually go over to the East Coast and listen to WFAN or any of those East Coast talk radio shows, Frank, they think it's like that just 24/7.
No,
it's not.
Here's another thing you have to remember. Social media is not an accurate depiction of real life. Period. Social media is not an accurate depiction of real life.
I know. There's a lot of people that go on there and just start to yell and scream, and they do it for clicks and stuff like that. I mean, there's nothing for me to yell and scream about. The offense isn't playing well. You know, there's people arguing with me on social media about the advanced scout needs to go. I'm like, I honestly don't think that's the reason why they can't play.
We're asking if the Padres even had an advanced scout.
I know. I had to send the directory to them, and then I'm like, they just have to play better. And they're like, well, that's not a good answer. That's a cop-out answer. I'm like, all right, I'm done. I don't know. I don't know what else you want me to say. There's nothing more I can say.
It's called goalpost moving until you're right.
Oh, until you get somebody to I almost went to I even put just think what you want. This is my opinion. And that's where it gets to a different level. I've given you my opinion. I think the Stars need to play better. It's flat out what they got to do.
He said, okay, fine. Think what you want. I have owned him in the marketplace of ideas. Ha, 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 ha.
Exactly. They need to play better. I thought yesterday's game, I thought the pitching staff was good. I thought the offense just could not get the situational hit. I mean, they continue to struggle at the plate. I thought some of your guys are starting to come to, but again, until your top four get more than just one of them to contribute at one time, there's not much more you can do. And here's the thing that we talked about yesterday at the Loft. Last year's team went 500 in May and had a losing record in June, and they won 90 games. Like, until we get to a point where it's like, oh, wow, this is a massive problem, there's only so much you can do. I mean, it's baseball. Like, Ted said that on the broadcast today for the roundtable about 15 times. I know people don't like hearing cliches, but they're cliches for a reason. It's because they're true. Like, it happens. There's nothing more that you can be said about it. Yeah, they all know this, but the reality of the situation is they just got to hit better. And me yelling and screaming isn't going to change anything. I would recommend, after losses like that, going outside, taking a 30-minute walk, enjoying the beautiful weather that is San Diego, and realize that it's going to be okay. It's going to be fine. I also agree with Ted in the sense, and a lot of people have mentioned this, this is the golden era of Padres baseball. This is the best Padres baseball has ever been. They have been a contender since 2020. That's 6 straight years they have been in contention for the playoffs, and they've made the playoffs 3 of the last 4 years. And I get you want to push for more. That's great. But here's my overall takeaway from this particular comment about, like, you know, you got to scream and yell about this. Screaming and yelling doesn't do anything. And just because some major markets have radio hosts that scream and yell when the team does bad doesn't mean it's the right approach. It might make you feel a little bit better, but the reality is it has no impact on what the team does.
Pardon Isaac. I like how you guys had the chat turned off during the Dodger series too. Okay, first of all, we never turned the chat off during the Dodger series, and we put it into subscriber mode because Braden's football players at Cathedral Catholic were causing mayhem. It had nothing to do with the fact that it was the Dodgers that were in town.
I only did it on my own page too, by the way.
Yeah, he only did it on his.
I mean, you could do it on the fan page. I do it so I can get people to subscribe. You want to add a comment? Subscribe. I'm gonna do that right now. Subscribers.
Good job, buddy.
Bang. 5 minutes. Subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Steven Souza Jr. He'll be the topic of discussion when we come back.
Las Vegas Golden Knights are now only 1 win away from sweeping the Colorado Avalanche in the Western Conference Final, and honestly, no one saw this coming. Vegas came back from a 3-0 deficit in Game 3 to win 5-3, and now leads the series 3-0 against the President's Trophy winners. The Golden Knights have completely shut down Colorado's speed, block shots everywhere, and gotten huge performances from Carter Hart, Jack Eichel, Thomas Hertl, and even Dylan Coughlin, who spent most of the season in the AHL. Meanwhile, the Avalanche subtly look rattled. Cale Makar's injury has exposed their defense. Nathan McKinnon might not fully be healthy, and Colorado is now on the verge of one of the most shocking eliminations in the playoffs. And out east, Montreal and Carolina are locked in a battle after Nikolai Ehlers scored the overtime winner in Game 2. The Stanley Cup Finals just keep getting crazier. The Stanley Cup playoffs have officially gone off the rails, but in the best possible way, as the Vegas Golden Knights are now 1 win away from sweeping the President's Trophy winning Colorado Avalanche, and the Montreal Canadiens continue proving that they are fearless on the road. The Carolina Hurricanes may have found the missing piece they needed for years in Nikolai Ehlers and a reborn Taylor Hall. And somehow, the biggest surprise in hockey right now might just be John Tortorella's Vegas Golden Knights. I don't think anyone truly expected this. The Vegas Golden Knights are up 3-0 on the Colorado Avalanche in the Western Conference Final after yet another unbelievable comeback win on Sunday night. Vegas erased a 3-0 first period deficit to beat Carolina 5-3 and now sits one win away from another Stanley Cup final appearance. This series has completely flipped because Vegas has done something almost no other team has been able to do against Colorado, which is they've neutralized their speed. The Vegas Golden Knights are blocking shots, finishing checks, clogging the neutral zone, and forcing the Avalanche into mistakes, and it's working. Head coach John Tortorella said after game 3, quote, "This is a game where we showed some balls." And honestly, he's not wrong. Vegas looks tougher mentally right now. The crazy part is it hasn't just been the superstars carrying Vegas either. You've got defenseman Dylan Coughlin scoring his first playoff goal after spending most of the season in the AHL. You've got Carter Hart standing on his head. You've got Tomas Hertl scoring the game winner in game 3. And there's Jack Eichel finally breaking through offensively in game 2 before setting up the go-ahead goal. Vegas suddenly looks deeper and a more composed team, even without Captain Mark Stone for part of this series. They are still finding ways to win. So the big question now is, what's the problem with the Avalanche? Now the pressure is completely on Colorado. And honestly, the absence of Cale Makar early in this series exposed how important he is to everything that they do. The defensive pairing looked disorganized, the puck movement wasn't clean, and the Avalanche keep hurting themselves with turnovers and missed assignments. Even Nathan McKinnon admitted after game 1 saying, quote, "Colorado did a lot of damage to ourselves." And now there's concern McKinnon might not even be fully healthy after taking a puck off the knee in game 3. And that is terrifying if you're a Colorado Avalanche fan, because this team entered the playoffs looking like the clear Stanley Cup favorites. And now they're on the verge of getting nipped by the President's Trophy curse, getting swept out of the Western Conference Final. On the East side, the Montreal Canadiens continue to prove that this playoff run is absolutely real. The Canadiens are now 7-2 on the road this postseason and already stole game 1 in Colorado by blasting the Hurricanes 6-1, their first loss of this postseason. This young team does not look intimidated at all. They play fast, they attack in transition, and they are constantly pressurizing defenses with speed. Coach Marty St. Louis deserves a ton of credit because this team is bullying into its identity, is buying into its identity completely and bullying other teams into playing their style of play. But Carolina answered back in game 2 thanks to the offensive addition of Nikolai Ehlers. Ehlers scored twice, including the overtime winner, to even the series at a game apiece. And now this Eastern Conference Final suddenly feels wide open. We've seen throughout sports history, it's very, very difficult to do in the NHL, but a 3-0 deficit is not entirely impossible to overcome. That being said, I don't think the Las Vegas Golden Knights are going to be giving up that lead, giving up that advantage anytime soon. They know what it's like to play in the playoffs. They've played in the Stanley Cup Finals before. They've won the Stanley Cup Finals before in their very, very brief history as a franchise. This is a championship team built on championship pedigree. I feel as though they are going to comfortably cover the Colorado Avalanche. Colorado may get a game, possibly 2, but it is not going to go the full 7 and give Carolina a chance. Out east, Montreal and Carolina, this is a very, very good series. I picked against Montreal, against the Buffalo Sabres in the last round. I
10:44. 10:44 on the Braden Surprenant Show on a Thursday. It's a crash out Thursday. Not for us. I mean, I'm having a great time. I enjoyed the round table. Life is great. I love it. Because as somebody said in the YouTube chat earlier, every day, God, I got to go back and find it. Oh, here it is. Head for the mountains. I'm going to post it on there. I live by this, Braden. It's always Friars Day in San Diego. If you can live by that, then you can play by that, and you can be that as a Padres fan. I like that. And now, but here's the other thing, too. It's great to live in San Diego. But I will say this. Our entire station for the last 2.5 weeks have said the offense has been terrible. It needs to be better. But apparently everything is awesome. Maybe we should just play that Lego song on loop.
Yeah, we got that email from Adam a couple of weeks ago. I unfortunately lost it with our opener, with our new open stuff. But
you lost that stuff?
Yeah, I did. Sorry.
Okay, thanks.
But no, everything's great.
Everything's awesome.
Yeah,
everything's great.
Everything's cool when you're part of a team.
Everything is awesome. That's a pretty catchy song.
It is.
I will say this, like the fact that the Padres, this is May every year. This happens every year. We literally had these same conversations and same shows last year.
It's about different people.
Seriously. This is the exact same. We were doing these shows in May last year. It probably was worse because they got swept by the Mariners and the Blue Jays in back-to-back series. In fact, we should just re-air all of our shows from last year and I bet you people driving around would be like, oh, yeah, we got to be better at this. The offense sucks. It's like, come on, man. It happens every year. They're not going to be perfect the whole season. If you listen to any of the sports talk in Los Angeles about the Dodgers, they have the same crash outs all the time. They're like the best team money can buy. I'm just telling you, like in baseball, it happens. I think it would be worse if the Padres were the Tigers right now. If the Padres were the Tigers right now, people would be super pissed off. And I would be too. It's like 12 games under 500. And they would even give them the credit about like they're missing half their starting rotation right now. Just be like, what in the world is going on in Detroit?
Thank you for sparing the Mets on that, by the way. I appreciate that.
Yeah, but the Mets now have played like they're
also ridiculously injured too. So.
They're ridiculously injured, but also like it comes to a point, Frank, where like they've been so poor for the beginning part of the season.
Yeah,
and
they're
now
irrelevant now.
But now it's like they don't even care. We haven't had a Mets crash out in like 2.5 weeks because they haven't been relevant enough for you to crash out about.
That is the worst thing you can be as a sports organization. Irrelevant. That's it. That is the worst thing. Forget about being bad. Bad is not the worst thing.
Right.
It's being irrelevant.
I think you could go through a lot of other teams right now in baseball where you could have a serious crash out and be upset.
Even Boston. Somebody said the Red Sox.
The Red Sox. I mean, the Red Sox were expected to be a favorite for the American League East this year.
Boston's irrelevant now.
They're irrelevant. They suck. They're terrible. And they're not getting any better. And guess what they did? They fired their whole coaching staff. Nothing happened. They still suck. They're still not good. Baltimore. Wouldn't you be irritated if you're a Baltimore Orioles fan?
I'd be flipping out. They're
4 games under 500. They signed Pete Alonso during the offseason. They've been promised the young talent's going to be great, all this other stuff. Here, we improved our pitching staff. They suck, too. They're 4 games under 500. They're 9.5 games out of first place, and they have a negative 41 run differential. Yes, they just beat the Rays 3 straight times. Good for them, but they're probably like, I'd much rather be the Padres than the Orioles right now.
I was in Baltimore when Pete Alonso signed. I was across the street from Camden Yards in the convention center producing the Army-Navy show when they introduced him as the highest paid free agent that the Orioles had ever signed. And they are pathetic.
And he hasn't been very good.
No, he has not.
There's been
very
articles that for everybody that's talked about Manny Machado and like what's if he's going to turn things around.
So Sam,
guess who's part of that same article?
Yep, there's just as many about Pete Alonso.
It's Pete Alonso. What about the Seattle Mariners? The Seattle Mariners, who were like a game or two away from making the World Series for the first time, who have a good core that re-signed some of those players that have great pitching, elite pitching. They're in first place now. They have a losing record. And guess what they haven't been able to do? They went 0-6 against the Padres. I would imagine some people in Seattle are a little pissed off right now.
Yeah, Trav, I don't know where Braden was for that show.
I had made it back to San Diego. Our resident Orioles fan, our boy Nick DiNucci, texted us. Orioles are a dumpster fire.
I will never forget that.
I mean, you look through like the do you think Astros fans thought that the Astros were going to be this bad? They've also dealt with injuries. I know Rangers fans, they want to pull their hair out every time their team plays. In fact, one of them texted me last night, I hate baseball. I hate baseball.
Stupid game.
That's literally what he said. I hate baseball. I just think the perspective, and here's what my last thing on this is, and I get it, it's passionate, you're fine. It's what you would be. I just think it's not the time to be like, this team's in massive trouble. I really don't. They have some underlying issues, but I don't think there's anything right now that goes away from the sport of baseball. You're going to have bad slumps. You're going to have guys have bad years every once in a while. But I think it would be different if the Padres were 22-34. I think that if the Padres were playing like the Giants, I think you would have some serious you would have legitimate gripe to be completely unhinged.
Yes, 100%.
But right now, it's like, It's May 28th. We've lost 4 games in a row. It happens in baseball. Whatever. The Cubs have just lost 10 straight games. They found themselves in last place after they had 2 10-game winning streaks. This stuff happens.
We need to find a way to reapply pressure to the Dodgers.
You need to stop thinking about the Dodgers.
You need to focus on getting into the playoffs, whether it's by the division or the wild card. It doesn't matter.
And I think that's the biggest.
Get to the dance.
I think the biggest, I don't want to say problem, but the biggest issue here is constantly trying to compare yourself to LA. And that is what little brother syndrome is. That is little brother syndrome. Focus on yourself. This is why I said at the beginning of the year, don't focus on the Dodgers. Stop trying to compare yourself to the Dodgers. Just play your game. And in August and September, take a look at the standings, see how close you are. That's it to me. That's it. That's where you want to be. But if you are going to try to compare yourself to a team that has a way bigger budget and has done a lot more than you have, and you're going to compare yourself to the best team on paper in baseball, you will never enjoy anything about this season. And then if they do go on a nice run, you're going to forget everything about the regular season because you're just going to be upset about it. I think that the perspective needs to change a little bit. I don't think it's great. I think the offense sucks. It's not very good. They need to be a lot better. But the reality of the situation is it's not the end of the world, and it's going to happen. And we'll see what happens next week. I mean, the Padres, again, what did we say at the beginning of this month? I have to keep saying it every single show. This was the time of the year that you are trying to grind out wins and maybe play at a 500 pace. And they have played around a 500 pace in the month of May. They got to win 2 here in Washington to finish the month of May at 500. But if they do that, they would have done exactly what we thought this team was going to do in the month of May. I mean, the Padres were terrible in May last year. I keep bringing up exactly what Adam put in the chat. They lost 6 straight. They got swept by the Mariners and the Blue Jays, and none of those games were competitive. That looked like rock bottom. Yet they still won 90 games. And I'm pretty sure everybody during that stretch was like, this is not a playoff team. They were a playoff team. I think the perspective matters. This is a small snapshot of a very long season. And they haven't been good during this spot. And no, you can't continue to be bad for this long. I agree with those things. But at the same time, they're not going to lose every game from here on out. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We're going to get a minor league report when we come back. 11 o'clock on the Braden Surprenant Show, setting us on Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. All of our guests join us on the SDCCU Fan Hotline. It's not big bank banking, it's better. And joining us on the SDCCU Fan Hotline is part of our trip through the minor leagues that we usually do on Mondays. A little bit of a rotation that we have. Today, we are heading it over to Fort Wayne, High A Fort Wayne, to check in on the Tin Caps. Again, we usually do this on Mondays because of the holiday and the way the schedule worked out. Today ended up being the day. And to come on to talk to us a little bit about the Tin Caps is their broadcaster in Jaden Taylor. He joins us on the SDCCU Fan Hotline. Jaden, what's going on, man, on your Thursday?
What's up, Braden? Doing good. Thanks for having me on.
Good to have you on. Good to be talking some minor league baseball with you. And so this is you were on with Scraby last time. It's the first time I get to talk about the Tin Caps. For a lot of our audience that might not necessarily be like as dialed into the minor leagues, what is the status of the Tin Caps right now in terms of wins and losses at this point in the season? Latest series, upcoming series. What do you got for us on the Tin Caps from a standings perspective?
Yeah, overall at this point right now, fourth in the Midwest League, East Division, 22-25 this season, been hover around 500 pretty much the last 2 weeks. Had a great stretch 3 weeks ago where we won 9 of 10. First time we had done that in 11 seasons for the group. Kind of put us in the mix a little bit for the first half standings. But out on the road, South Bend, only about an hour and a half away right now, taking on the Cubs affiliate who are red hot right now. They've won 7 straight.
We're talking with Jaden Taylor, the broadcaster for the High A Fort Wayne Tin Caps of the San Diego Padres. And we got obviously some names that we want to dive into that are some of the top prospects around Major League Baseball, specifically for the Padres. And some of those names that Padres fans might not know or that they do know. I mean, at the lower levels, the Padres have a lot of their better prospects. Who are some of these players that Padres fans should be paying attention to that are getting the most, obviously hype, and how are they done so far this season?
Yeah, I think on the mound, there's 3 main names to look at right now for Fort Wayne and seeing what they can do with the Padres system going forward. The big one, of course, the first round pick back in 2024 in Cash Mayfield. He has been absolutely dominant this season. 3 straight appearances of 5 innings without allowing a run. He struck out 17 across his last 2 outings. Opponents are only hitting 100 against him this season. He has been purely dominant this year. He's been incredible at Fort Wayne. He's not allowed a run in 6 of his 8 appearances this season, and couldn't ask for anything better out of the 21-year-old. A guy that I think Padres fans on the mound might not know as well, mainly because he hadn't pitched in a minor league appearance in 700-plus days before going into this season. Is actually the guy we got in the bump tonight. Carson Montgomery has been great. Florida State grad, 11th round pick back in 2023, and he's also been arguably the best arm in the Midwest League this year. 4 straight outings where he's gone 5 innings, only allowed 1 run across his last 20 frames. Overall this season, just a 1.41 ERA. And if there's somebody on his pitching staff overall that you look at and say, hey, that's a bulldog guy that can find their way up the ranks, Carson Montgomery is easily that name to look at right now. 2 separate fastballs that he uses pretty well, a slider that's wipeout, and a changeup that he mixes in a lot to lefties on top of it. So real good stuff out of Carson. I think what he's been able to do this season coming off Tommy John surgery has been really impressive, and he's felt really comfortable thus far. Out of the bullpen, I mean, if the Padres need any more bullpen help, Clay Edmondson has been pretty good this year. 10 saves this season, leading all of minor league baseball right now. He's been one of the best relievers in all of minor league baseball at the moment. He goes out there, kind of a sidewinding look, pretty much a submariner, but has 5 different pitches that he throws all 5 pretty consistently. And the fastball's in the low to mid 90s on top of it, which you kind of rarely see from a guy who's a sidewinder. Offensively, main 2 names, Alex McCoy, undrafted free agent signee a couple seasons ago out of Hofstra. He has been incredible this season. Extra base hit upon extra base hit this year. He's got 27 of them in the first 2 months of this season. And a guy Padres fans didn't know at all, truthfully, until pretty much this January. Jake Cunningham has been the best outfielder on this squad outside of Alex McCoy this year. He's got more home runs this season than he did in 3 seasons with the Orioles system, was released from their system this past offseason. Padres have picked him up, and he's really figured things out.
We're talking with Jaden Taylor, the broadcaster for the Fort Wayne Tin Caps and High A Fort Wayne. Obviously got a lot of names down there that are some of the top prospects for the Padres, most of them in the lower levels in Lake Elsinore and in Fort Wayne. They do have a rehab assignment right now for, from AAA El Paso. He was the first free agent signing of the Padres offseason. Ty Adcock, he's gotten a couple appearances. How's Ty looked on his rehab assignment?
Yeah, Ty, I think, kind of mixing a couple of things in, working with his overall arsenal this year. He's talked about kind of adding in a one-seamer pretty much to his arsenal, and that's pretty much been the biggest piece of adjustment for him in the first couple of appearances he's had with us these last couple of days. And there's been good parts, there's been bad parts with it, but I think he's more so figuring things out of what he wants to use with that one-seamer and overall what the Padres are pushing for him. But overall, out of the bullpen, I think he's kind of been, obviously a leader for this group a little bit, shows up early, stays late, willing to talk with the guys in this bullpen a lot to, kind of show to them a little bit what a big leaguer can be and what the routine can be. And it's not as much about the results, I think, on the field that he has had, but still trying to figure out that arsenal, what he's putting together. And stuff's been great. Fastball's up 96, 97. Breaking ball's been good. A couple slider and a changeup as well. And now it's kind of adding in that one-seamer that he's been working with.
I got to call three of the current players for the Tin Caps. I've called in college games, for the University of San Diego. I'll get to that in a second. But one of them was at the University of Arizona, that is related to a pretty good pitcher in his own right. But Clark Candiotti, his dad was famous for throwing a knuckleball. I don't remember him throwing one in college. How's Candiotti looked, and has he dabbled in the knuckleball at all? Have you talked to him about maybe trying to throw his dad's pitch?
Yeah, it's the pitch he always gets asked about. Pretty much when anybody talks to him, do you throw the knuckleball? Do you throw the knuckleball? He doesn't. Mainly throws a splitter. That's kind of the odd add-in pitch to what he has. 5 overall pitches that Clark's had, but he's actually moved up onto Double-A San Antonio as a starter last season for us. Had mixed results, but you knew the stuff was there. 12-6 curveball, by far, I think, his best pitch of his secondaries. His splitter kind of really works well off of that when he can find it pretty consistently. And moving to the bullpen this season, I think in shorter stints, you saw the strikeout numbers really grow. And I think that's why they wanted him in the relief role this season after the first year as a starter with Fort Wayne. And I can earn the promotion up to Double-A San Antonio. He's been doing well there, hoping to find some more consistency these next couple of outings. But Clark overall, wide arsenal. Love talking about the knuckleball with his father, because he had a couple of brothers that also played college baseball and in the backyard during wiffle ball. When they got about 8 or 9 and Dad stopped letting them win so much, he would pull out the knuckleball with the wiffle balls in the backyard, and nobody could touch it.
The other two players, speaking of promotions, you just got a infielder by the name of Justin DeCrisio. He started his career at the University of San Diego before, I think, going to NC State is where he ended up transferring to. He gets promoted. You also have Jack Costello, teammates for Brock Ungrich at the University of San Diego, 2 guys that I've gotten to know well. How's Jack doing? How's Justin doing so far coming up to Fort Wayne? Obviously, you can look at the numbers however you want, but 2 guys that I'm very familiar with, got to know as the broadcaster for the University of San Diego. What's going on with the Toreros up there?
Yeah, Jack's been great. Second season here with the group, and he is the leader of this squad in every way. And I think nobody is loved more in that clubhouse than Jack Costello, just because of how he acts, how he goes about his day each and every single day, the way he backs up everybody else in this squad, and how accountable he keeps the entire team. And kind of got that big moment that he had been hoping for the last 2 seasons this past weekend on Friday up against Dayton, a walk-off home run. Fort Wayne, we hadn't had a single player touch second base basically until the 9th inning. Wasn't a single extra base hit the entire night. Wind was carrying in. There was not a lot of pop going around. And Jack, a 3-run shot in the bottom half of the 9th inning to walk it off was just incredible. And clubhouse is going crazy for him. DeCrisio was one of the first ones into the pile to just jump on him at the end of it. So it was a pretty cool moment for him. Justin, on the other, like you mentioned, kind of went to NC State after a couple seasons at San Diego and some know, last season, Brandon Butterworth, a part of the deal that brought in Ryan O'Hearn and Ramon Laureano, very similar types of players, two guys that are just true gamers. And I think it's why he was so good at San Diego and why NC State wanted to bring him into the ACC. Just a guy who goes out and plays hard and at 110% every single pitch that he's going to go out there. And I think he's going to find a lot of success with him just adjusting to high A right now. And I think it's going to be fun to see what he does in the back half of the year.
Yeah, JD's got a pretty sick glove. Have you get to see him, flash the leather at all?
Yeah, he's been great. I think the cool thing, though, with him, right, at San Diego and NC State, 141 straight games at shortstop, right? And you want that kind of athlete. Now to the pro ranks, they've been moving him around a little bit. Some days he'll be at short, some days he'll be at third. He's been in the corner outfield spots a little bit as well. And I think that shows the trust of his defensive ability to where they can put him in multiple different spots and trust that he's going to make some great plays.
Well, here's one for you. I don't know if you knew that they moved his freshman year. He was at third for a little bit because his shortstop was Chicago White Sox Chase Mydroth. He was the shortstop of that team. And then all of a sudden, JD moved to shortstop. They moved Chase to third. But his freshman year, he was playing all over the infield. I mean, you could put him pretty much anywhere, which is pretty cool. So, Jaden, I appreciate the time, man. Thanks again for giving us a very well-informed description of what's going on in Fort Wayne. Say hi to JD and Jack Costello for me, and have fun on the broadcast the rest of the week. And who are the what's coming up for the Tin Caps in terms of their opponents? I know they're usually in the middle of a series at this point during the week, but what's the upcoming stint for the Tin Caps? So Padres fans that watch on MILB TV can tune in.
Yeah, right now out in South Bend, Indiana, taking on the South Bend Cubs. They've got a couple of really good young prospects in their system that Fort Wayne's going to be facing across the rest of this week. And then back home next week, 6-game set up against Lake County. They're the captains and only about 35 minutes away from the Cleveland Guardians, and that's why they're the high A affiliate of that squad. And they've got some fun names too. Jace Laviolette was with Texas A&M, a College World Series guy that dominated out there in the tournament. Luke Hill was at Ole Miss, and we've got a lot of really good 2025 draft picks on that squad. So it's going to be a fun couple of weeks to see some of the top prospects in this league.
Sounds good, Jaden. Thanks again for the time. Tell the boys I said hi, and we'll talk to you in a couple of weeks.
Will do. Appreciate it, Braden.
Jaden Taylor joining us on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan, joining us on the SDCCU Fan Hotline. It's not Big Bang Banking, it's better. He's got two of the Toreros over there. I'm going to tell you, dude, JD, Justin DeCrisio, he would make plays that were just unbelievable defensively. Little undersized. I mean, a smaller guy. He's already hit 2 home runs in Fort Wayne. I love the fact he got promoted, but that team had, him, Costello were both on the Tin Caps, Chase Mydroth, who's Chicago White Sox, Bryson Motts, who just started for the Cardinals and made his major league debut, was on that team. So pretty cool seeing a lot of those guys that I used to call games for making a career out of baseball. It's great to see. It just tells you how great the program has been with Brock Ungridge.
Let me just hover the mouse button over the foul key here.
Mm-hmm.
Would they be Toreros or Toreri, since there's 2 of them?
Toreros.
Okay.
They're the San Diego Toreros.
He draws the foul.
Yeah, but there's 2 of them, so it'd be.
Stop it.
That's why
you already don't know English. So I don't think you should be the one asking English questions.
I bought 2 boxing of donuts.
What's a boxing? Oxen. Boxing. I before E.
Always.
Now, Brian, I before E except after C, and it sounded an A like neighbor and way, and you'll always be wrong no matter what you say. I'm glad we both got that. Flock of moosin'. Moosin'. Well, I'm glad you and I are enjoying the inside joke with our boy Nick Monte in the chat. That's basically it for the Brian Reagan. I love, dude, that was like the early onset of YouTube.
Yep.
Where they would people would take comedians' stand-up routines and then put them to stick figure art.
Mm-hmm.
The funniest thing.
Yep.
A flock of moosin'. Unbelievable. Oh, I'm glad to hear. Jack Costello. I'm glad to hear he's like the leader of the Tin Caps. That guy's a great dude. He was a great player for USD. So I had to get a couple of those questions in there. Why did I feel like he was is he from Baltimore? Jaden Taylor. I know he went to Arizona State. It said on a little description. I kept thinking he sounded like a young Mel Kiper.
Let me see here.
When he was breaking down the players, he sounded like I thought I was talking to Mel Kiper. Should have asked him if he likes pumpkin pie.
Oh, God.
He sounds like he's from Baltimore. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that's because that's where he's from. Maybe that's where the accent came. But he sounded like he was doing a Mel Kiper impersonation. Thought it was awesome. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973.
You can't say he doesn't have the voice for it, for sure. He sounds like a broadcaster.
Didn't he sound like
Definitely.
Mel Kiper? I thought he sounded like Mel Kiper.
I try to block out Mel Kiper as much as I can. So
You like Mel Kiper? What,
No.
you got something wrong with pumpkin pie?
I think everything I'm seeing is from Phoenix, so I'm not sure. Say Omaha?
Omaha.
I think
Okay.
it said it says Omaha to Phoenix to Fort Wayne. I don't know if those are just teams he's broadcasted, but
No, it's probably his path or whatever. But anyway, he said, am I wrong there? I thought it sounded like he was from there.
loyal follower to the show too. So always retweets our stuff too.
I love
so
it.
Very nice.
It was great. It was great. Get him back on in a couple of weeks for the Tin Caps. All right. What's going on? Oh, Albuquerque. Not doing well. El Paso. Who's pitching today for El Paso?
Number 34.
Thank you. Fitterer.
Last.
There it is. All right. We need to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about the Steven Souza Jr. situation. Craig Stammen talked about it. Manny Machado talked about it. We'll hear from them when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show. Settings Urban Sports Station, 97 through the Fan.
San Diego State baseball may not have won the Mountain West Tournament Championship, but the Aztecs absolutely proved they might be back in baseball. San Diego State reached the title round after multiple unbelievable comeback wins, including rallying from down 5-0 against New Mexico and down 8-1 against Air Force. This team just refuses to quit. Jake Jackson continued his monster season as Mountain West Player of the Year. Kevin Vance won Coach of the Year in the Mountain West in his first season, and the Aztecs finished with their best record since 2018. And remember, this team was picked 7th in the preseason poll. So was this just one magical season or the beginning of a new era for San Diego State baseball? San Diego State Aztec baseball made a postseason statement. They may not have won the Mountain West Tournament Championship, but Aztecs absolutely showed why they were the best team in the conference throughout the 2026 season. Aztecs wrapped up an impressive postseason run by reaching the tournament championship round after surviving multiple comeback wins, explosive offensive performances, and one of the most resilient stretches of baseball this program has played in years. The Aztecs ultimately fell to Washington State in the title game, but this weekend still felt like confirmation that San Diego State baseball is officially back among the elite programs in the Mountain West. And considering this was Kevin Vance's first season as the head coach, this might be the biggest storyline of all. Comeback baseball had defined the Aztecs season. The theme of the tournament for the Aztecs was simple. This team refused to quit. In their opener against New Mexico, the Aztecs found themselves trailing 5-0 before erupting for 10 unanswered runs to win 11-6. That comeback completely changed the tone of the tournament. Zane Kelly sparked the rally with a massive 3-run double. Adam Magpok launched a 2-run homer, and Tice Peterson followed with a go-ahead blast that gave the Aztecs control for good. The offense showed exactly what has made this team dangerous all year: power, patience, and the ability to score in bunches. And once San Diego State grabbed the lead, their bullpen slammed the door shut. The tournament turning point for the Aztecs of the weekend was Saturday because it became one of the wildest days of the season. First, San Diego State jumped out to a 5-0 lead against the Cougs before completely losing momentum in a 14-9 loss that dropped them into an elimination game. At that point, it would have been easy for the tournament to spiral out of control for San Diego State, but instead, they responded with arguably their toughest win of the year. They were down 8-1 against Air Force and exploded for 10 unanswered runs to win 11-8 and keep the season alive. And that game showed the personality of this team. Jabin Trotsky crushed a 3-run homer to ignite the comeback. Jake Jackson delivered clutch extra base hits late, and the bullpen stabilized things through things long enough for the offense to completely flip the game. That's championship level fight. Even though the final trophy didn't end up on the Mesa. On Championship Sunday, they were 1 win away. Sunday was a roller coaster. They forced a winner-take-all final by beating Washington State 9-2 earlier in the day behind dominant pitching and timely hitting. Drew Talavs was outstanding on the mound, while San Diego State's lineup once again delivered situational offense when it mattered most. But in the final game of the tournament, the pitching depth finally ran out. Washington State exploded late for 11 unanswered runs in a 14-4 win that ended San Diego State's postseason hopes. Even in the loss, though, there were a lot of bright spots. Jake Jackson, Tice Peterson both homered, and Jackson continued one of the hottest stretches of baseball in the conference with a 12-game hitting streak and reaching base safely in 25 consecutive starts. In terms of individual honors, the postseason validated what the conference coaches already decided before the tournament even started. Jake Jackson was named Mountain West Player of the Year after becoming an emotional and offensive engine for this team. Kevin Vance earned Mountain West Coach of the Year honors in his first season, which is remarkable considering San Diego State was picked 7th in the preseason poll. And that turnaround cannot be overstated. San Diego State was the middle of the pack projection to outright regular season champions while posting their best win total since 2018. And it wasn't just one star carrying the group. Rowan Leto emerged as a frontline ace. Jabin Trotsky became one of the conference's most reliable hitters and defenders. Max Farrell turned into one of the league's top freshmen, and Tice Peterson.
Well, we have an off day today. We had a great roundtable today that if you haven't listened to it, go back and listen or stay tuned at 5 o'clock because Ted Leitner joined us. It was awesome. But the biggest problem for the Padres right now is the offense. We want to thank Jaden Taylor for joining us on the last segment to give us an update on Fort Wayne. Sounds like they've had some trouble with the offense last couple of weeks. Couldn't get a guy to second base in like a week and a half, he said.
Seems like a baseball problem, you know?
Oh, yeah. What did Chris Ello say today about the average batting averages in Major League Baseball? They're like the lowest since like the...
yeah, they're all pathetic.
Whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
When did they move the mound? I forgot about the years. Ello was on it.
Oh, God, I don't remember.
The year before they lowered the mound, I think they said like it was in the 60s or something like that. The batting averages were so putrid across Major League Baseball. And the team that won the World Series that year were the Tigers, I think is what he said. And they hit like 220 or something as a team. And then Ello said today that after that season, they moved the mound down, right? They moved the height of the mound. He said the current Major League Baseball average batting averages are 2 points higher than that year. That just tells you everything you need to know. Seriously, that tells you everything you need to know about the offenses right now in all of Major League Baseball. So the Padres offense is struggling. We hear from it's time to fire the hitting coach, the cliches here and there about the hitting coach and Steven Souza Jr. is not getting the job done and maybe a change in voice and, it can't be the players, right? Well, the Padres are hearing that noise. Obviously, when the offense struggles, you look at the guy that's running the offense. And when you had success in the past, although everybody wanted Victor Rodriguez fired too. Now, the Astros numbers have improved since getting Victor Rodriguez as their hitting coach. They're top 10 in baseball in almost all hitting categories. But it's not always as easy as just getting rid of the hitting coach. And I thought yesterday Craig Stammen addressed that in a fair way as he met with the media after the game yesterday. Here's what Craig Stammen had to say about Steven Souza Jr. leading the offense.
Craig, there's been a lot of talk about Steven Souza Jr. kind of considering the struggles offensively. Can you kind of enlighten some of us just how much of a role he has with the approach on offense and during these struggles, what he's trying to do to change things up?
Yeah, in my opinion, it has nothing to do with him. This is the Padres hitting. This is the Padres organization and how we go about taking at-bats. It's on all of us, and more specifically, probably on me. I'm the one in charge, and we've got to figure out a way to hit.
Yeah. I think that's pretty fair. I think it's a good leadership trait from Craig Stammen on the sense that It starts with the top. It's not just the hitting coach. And I think the two guys that are leading this team the right way are Craig Stammen and Manny Machado right now. And what is leadership? Leadership is taking responsibility for the results. And right now, who are the two people that are taking responsibility for the team's results? It's Craig Stammen, as you just heard, and it's Manny Machado, who has spoken with the media 3 days in a row now. Leadership is taking responsibility for results, and right now you're getting that out of the people that you want to lead this team, and I think that's admirable. But at the same time, at this point, Frank, firing Steven Souza Jr., in my opinion, would be ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason why you would do it is to maybe change the voice in the clubhouse. But I just feel like in this day and age of sports, where these players are at, I don't necessarily think that's going to lead to long-term success. It might give you a jolt for a couple of games, but I don't think it's going to lead you to long-term success. It hasn't worked out in Boston. And for everybody that wants to point to the Phillies, if you look at the Phillies after they fired Rob Thompson, they had just played the Chicago Cubs on a 10-game winning streak and the Atlanta Braves. And then they played the Cubs again, and then they played the Braves again. And that's when they fired Rob Thompson. And then after that, they played the worst teams in Major League Baseball and started to win games. Yeah, sure. They beat the Padres in 3 straight games here. That's fine, whatever. But sometimes these teams are going to do this anyway. There's going to be some up and down in the season. I don't think the Phillies playing better is because they fired Rob Thompson. I just think they got to a better port in their schedule against teams that they can actually, handle, and they got off to a slow start. I mean, the Red Sox, you could look at both ways, right? You could sit there and be like, if you fire somebody, look what the Phillies did. I think you could also point to the Red Sox who fired their entire staff, and they haven't improved at all. I don't know how much a coaching staff really impacts wins and losses, in a sense that if you have all these great coaches, can they win with anybody in terms of talent? I don't necessarily know that's the case. I don't know. I think a lot of it has to do with talent. You hear coaches say it all the time. You have to have good players to win, and good players have to play well to win. Is it Steven Souza Jr.'s fault for the Padres going 0 for 35 with runners in scoring position? And here's the thing. Again, everybody likes to throw out approach. Do you honestly think that...
What's the approach, RJ?
Right. Do you honestly think Manny Machado checked swinging on a pitch a couple of days ago, the first pitch that he saw with guys in scoring position, is the approach? Do you think that's what Steven Souza Jr. is telling Manny to do? How about Manny swinging out of his shoes on a full count pitch on a ball that's nowhere near the zone when the Padres have bases loaded and no outs? Do you think that's the approach? Do you honestly think? I want to ask people that think that this is Steven Souza Jr. telling. Do you think that somebody with the job title that Steven Souza Jr. has in Major League Baseball is actively telling those guys, you got to swing out of your shoes on this pitch? The answer is no. If you believe that's the case, I got beachfront property to sell you in Arizona. It's not the case. And unless you are in the hitters' meetings with the team, which you get a lot of information and probably a lot more information than you would think, as somebody that has seen hitters' meetings at different levels, you can then tell me that it's the approach. But unless you have physically heard what their plan of attack is against other pitchers, and you're in those meetings, just by watching the game, You cannot tell me whether or not that is the approach of the Padres or that is a player not following what he's supposed to be doing. You cannot tell me the difference. I would love to know if you could do that. They have to play better. But unless you're in those meetings and they're flat out doing everything that the organization is telling them to do and reading the scouting reports and still following it, unless you know that they are doing that and it's not working, you can't sit here and say their approach sucks. You don't even know what it is. Nobody knows what it is except for the 13 position players and the offensive staff of the Padres, because that's all that's allowed in those meetings. Unless you're one of those people, you don't know what the approach is. And I'm going to tell you right now, do you think, I'm going to ask this question, do you think Manny Machado, with everything that he has done in his career, do you think Manny Machado, with everything he's done in his career, what he's about, everything like that, do you think he's just going to take the blame if he thought the hitting coach and the approach was bad? Do you think he's taking responsibility for somebody else?
No shot.
There is no way he is doing that. He's did that for 3 straight days. Do you think any of those players are just doing that out of the kindness of their heart? Oh, man, we just really love Steven, man. We just really love Steven, man. It's like, I'm not playing very well, and it's really because the approach sucks, and I got to follow this dumb approach. I'm going to take the fall for this. Are you out of your mind? Are you crazy? There's no way that they're doing that. If there was a problem about the approach, they would have done something about it by now. They have to play better, and they know it. And they know it. Maybe they won't call out Steven Souza Jr. by name, but guess what they're not going to do? They're not going to sit there and be like, I got to play better. They're not going to own up to that. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, no, you will
You
never...
would know if the approach was bad because the organization would be like, we don't like the way this is going. You would know.
Show a player that called out a coach while they're still employed. Name one. I could tell you what they would not do. They would not stand out there and take the blame, especially
hell no.
Especially a guy like Manny Machado.
Absolutely
not. So the
not.
fact that he is even doing that, if Ronald Acuna, there you go.
Yeah, Ronald Acuna speaks his mind about his coaching staff.
The fact that Manny Machado, of all people, is sticking his neck out for Steven Souza Jr., taking the blame, that's pretty obvious that they do not believe that it's Steven Souza Jr. Period.
No, it's not. What's another voice going to do? Seriously. It's just like their approach at the plate's not great, but I can't imagine they're being told to do the things that have happened at the plate. I just can't. Because you know what? There are people in the organization that would have been like, we're not doing this anymore. This isn't working. I don't think that firing Steven Souza Jr. is going to get the results that you would want in the long term. I really don't think it has that big of an impact. If you did it, it would be to save face and to show fans, hey, look, we're trying to do something about this. That would be the only thing that you would be trying to do, in my opinion.
And the only thing you will have succeeded in doing is showing that you can cry bully the fan base into making it, cry bully the organization into making a decision that they do not need to make. Again,
and do those organizations ever win, Frank?
No,
they never win.
Again, if you were 7 games under 500, then yeah, I understand calling for him. Despite being one of the worst offenses in Major League Baseball, despite the players taking blame for the hitting issues that the team has, you are 7 games over 500. No team is firing a coach in May while they're over 500, period. Forget about being 7 games, and you were just 11 games 4 days ago. No team over 500 that has a head on their shoulders is firing anyone in the coaching staff, period.
It's true. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Derek, David, Rich, we're going to get to you when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
This week in motorsports was defined by one of the most devastating headlines: the loss of NASCAR legend Kyle Busch at just 41 years of age. Busch was a two-time Cup Series champion and one of the most dominant drivers in NASCAR history, with over 60 Cup Series wins, more than 100 O'Reilly Series victories, and 69 truck victories, the last of which he got just 2 weeks ago at Dover. His impact on the sport was massive, and the entire racing world came together at Charlotte Motor Speedway to honor him. On the track, Daniel Suarez delivered an emotional Coca-Cola 600 win, dedicating the victory to Busch after a rain-shortened finish. Meanwhile, Lane Riggs and Ross Chastain also won emotional tribute-filled races for the Truck and O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. Over at IndyCar, though, Felix Rosenqvist won the Indianapolis 500 in a photo finish, and in F1, Kimi Antonelli continued his breakout season with another dominant victory in Canada. So now, the question is, are we watching the end of one era in motorsports and the rise of a new generation taking over? This week in motorsports has been dominated by one of the most devastating headlines that has shaken the entirety of the racing world. Kyle Busch, two-time NASCAR Cup Series champion, and one of the most successful drivers in the history of the sport, passed away at the age of 41 following complications from severe pneumonia that progressed into sepsis. Busch's passing sent shockwaves through the NASCAR garage and through fans all around the world. Known as Rowdy, he built his career defined by aggression, brilliance, and record-breaking success across all three of NASCAR's National Series. His legacy is staggering: 63 Cup Series wins, 102 O'Reilly Auto Parts Series victories, and 69 Craftsman Truck Series wins. That number places him at 234 all-time wins across all three NASCAR National Series, which is the most in NASCAR history. His 102 O'Reilly Auto Parts Series wins and 69 Truck Series wins puts him in the number one position in those two series by themselves. But beyond his stats, Busch was a central figure in modern NASCAR culture, a polarizing competitor, a generational talent, and a driver who helped shape the sport over the last 2 decades. This weekend's Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte became an emotional tribute to his life, career, and impact on the sport. So with that, the sad stuff out of the way, time to get racing. This weekend was not only marred by the passing of Kyle Busch, it was also marred by a ton of rain. The NASCAR Cup Series at Charlotte Motor Speedway turned into a race filled with emotion, strategy, rain, and of course tribute. Daniel Suarez claimed a heartfelt and meaningful victory in a rain-shortened Coca-Cola 600, a win that carried far deeper meaning than just the trophy. Suarez dedicated his win to Kyle Busch, crediting him as a major influence on his career and development in NASCAR. The entire weekend carried this emotional tone, with Busch's family present and honored before the race. On track, it was a chaotic 600 miles. Long run, strategy calls, tire management, and late rain ultimately deciding the outcome. Suarez made a critical pit call late in the race that vaulted him into position. And once the rain returned, the race was called early, about 27 laps early, locking in his victory. Behind him, Christopher Bell and Denny Hamlin finished second and third, while pole sitter Tyler Reddick led a race-high number of laps, but could not close it out. The O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, also pure chaos and pure survival, racing against the rain. Ross Chastain claimed a rain-shortened victory in chaotic and slippery conditions that saw multiple incidents and long delays. Chastain's win was emotional as well, as he referenced Busch's impact on the sport and influence on young drivers to climb the ladder. Justin Allgaier once again showed championship consistency, while young drivers like Corey Day continued to gain valuable experience in chaotic conditions. On Sunday morning, the Truck Series race was held. Now, the Truck Series race was supposed to be on Friday night. It was postponed from Friday night to Saturday morning, postponed from Saturday morning to Saturday night, and then eventually run on Sunday morning, where Lane Riggs won the race. Riggs dedicated, of course, his victory to Kyle Busch, performing Busch's signature bow in tribute after taking the checkered flag. This race was also rain affected, caution heavy, but Riggs controlled key restarts and held on in the closing laps. And it wasn't just a win. Of course, it was a tribute to all of from all of the drivers to the RCR number 8, now number 33 team. In IndyCar, the 110th Indianapolis 500 delivered one of the greatest and the closest finish in the race's history. Felix Rosenqvist edged out David Malukas by just 0.02 of a second in a dramatic final lap drag race to the finish line. The race featured a record number of lead changes, multiple cautions, and a one-lap shootout that came down to pure bravery and position in traffic. Scott McLaughlin finished third, while Pato O'Ward once again came close, but still left Indianapolis still searching for that Indy 500 win. It was a race defined by strategy, fuel saving, and absolute chaos in the final laps, everything that the Indianapolis 500 is known for. Formula One was also back. They were racing up north in Canada at Montreal at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Formula One delivered another dramatic weekend in Canada where youth, chaos, and controversy took center stage. Kimi Antonelli won both the sprint race and the Grand Prix, extending his championship lead in dominant fashion. But the win did not come easily. Early battles with teammate George Russell were intense, with multiple on-track exchanges before Russell eventually retired from the race due to a power unit failure. Lewis Hamilton capitalized late to finish second, while Max Verstappen rounded out the podium after a strong push late. It was another reminder that F1's 2026 season.
He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. It's the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. All right, so we're running it. We're running it back at Over the Line. I got 4 teams again for Over the Line. I'm gonna make shirts again. If I'm gonna make extra shirts, if your team wants to get free shirts to wear for the tournament, we'll do the same thing. You could DM me. You could rep the shirts. I'm not sponsoring anybody's team. I'm putting it out there. I don't even want to pay for my own teams. Collecting money myself is already a problem. I'm not going to pay for random teams to play Over the Line. So no, if you want a free shirt, you can have the free shirt. That will be the deal that we make for Over the Line. But as I sign up, here's the deal. Like, the hardest part is coming up with the Over the Line names. And here's my dilemma. It can't be like too crazy because obviously it's like affiliated with the show. And some of those names, Frank, are just like so raunchy.
Yeah, I remember.
How much you want? How many names are going to be about Mike Vrabel and Diana Rossini?
Oh, dear God.
You know.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep. You know that's going to be the case. I'm sure a lot of Padres hitting slumps will be on there, maybe. There's probably going to be a lot of those. So coming up with the team name is the worst. It's so hard. Because you want to be creative, you want to be lame, you kind of want to be funny, but then at the same time, it's got to be somewhat clean, right? It's a tough little dynamic, if you will. So, one of my buddies suggested since somebody was since Joe Musgrove goes out there all the time, it's like, what if you like named your team like, oh look, our team name is Joe Musgrove. Is that Joe Musgrove on Court 45? See how many people start running over there. It's not a bad name. I wouldn't do that to. I mean, that would be terrible for Joe, though. You know, like because I know he goes out there every once in a while to watch his buddies play. Is that Fernando Tatis on Court 3? Because the guy's just gonna announce it. People are gonna hear that and be like, start running to Court 3. I do want to have it something to play on, like some inner jokes of our show. I think it'd be kind of funny. Juan Ruiz got one, or he's got a funny one. Maybe do something about be a taco auctioneers. Also funny. We'll brainstorm. The problem is I'm signing up right now, so like you have to have the team name done before you sign up, and I don't want to miss out on playing. So we're working on that.
Stolen New York City subway.
Frank loves trains. You're up on court 45.
Just tell everyone I know how to draw, please.
I did order my bat. I did order 2 bats from Jason, who does the bats. He works over at he I think he does it over at Charlie Rose, but Sanjo Sports. So I got my bat orders in with Jason. So I appreciate him getting that done. I will show the bats off when I get them. I made a TCU looking one, and I made a Tennessee looking one. I was totally blanking when I originally designed the Tennessee bat because I forgot the ball is orange. So what color barrel could you probably not have? Orange. And that's the one I was like, he immediately responded like, you're not going to be able to have an orange barrel because on back won't allow it. And I'm like, why wouldn't they? Oh, the ball's orange. My bad.
Oopies.
My B.
Trav.
Frank loves trains. Love it. Anyway, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get out to Derek in La Mesa. Derek, of the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on?
What's going on, brothers? How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm doing a lot better than the Padres offense, Derek. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I agreed. Hey, you know what, Braden? You're spot on. You and Frank are spot on. This has nothing to do with the hitting coach. And look, here's the deal. I was a pretty good college baseball player and a very average professional baseball player. I ran out of talent in the minor leagues. But baseball with instruction is so individualistic, big word there, where just a coach resonates with you. He says something to you personally. And I'll give you an example. When I was playing minor league baseball in the Red Sox organization, one of the hitting instructors was Jim Rice. Now, I don't know his numbers off the top of my head, but Jim Rice, I think, probably hit around 300. I think he hit 400 plus home runs in his big league career. He was awful for Derek. He was terrible. Like I didn't get what he was saying to me personally, but I'm sure he was fantastic for other guys. Conversely, Rico Petrocelli, a longtime Red Sox guy that I think played in the 60s and 70s, who didn't have nearly the numbers that Jim Rice had in his Red Sox career, was excellent for Derek. But Rico might not have been good for other guys. So this is not a Souza Smith Jr. or whatever. It's not a him issue. It is just he's there to deliver a message. He's there to help guys out. He's trying to relate to these guys. They're Major League Baseball players. They're in the show. Like it's up to them. It's how the game works. I'm sure it's the same for pitching coaches. I'm sure it's the same for infield coaches. It's not a coaching issue. It's a player issue, and they just have to figure it out. Thoughts?
That's exactly right, Derek. I mean, that's spot on terms of the hitting coach. I mean, it's hard for him to individually relate to 13 different guys that have different swings, that have different swing coaches themselves, that all rely on different hitting instructors themselves. Just like we talked about last year with Xander Bogaerts about how he had to pick one guy that he's going to believe in, and that's going to be the guy that he gets the answers from, and that's it. All of those players have a guy like that. The Major League Baseball hitting coach is a guy that tells you about, all right, offensively, we want to try to do this as a team. This is what the other team throws, yada, yada. These are our goals for the day. But individually, a lot of it, it's not the same. So he could be good for, maybe he's really good for Gavin Sheets and Ty France right now. And some of the guys you weren't expecting to be hitting as much as they are. More so than maybe some of the stars. But again, they're Major League Baseball players. They got to figure out themselves. I appreciate the phone call from Derek in La Mesa. Let's get out to David in Oceanside. David, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on?
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. What do you got for us today?
Great, brother. It's just basically I'm thinking about pitch selection here and major leaguers. And when there's a blue book on a batter, hey, this guy swings at the first pitch all the time, so we're not going to give him a good first pitch to hit. And regardless, they're kind of still swinging at it. And being more of a student of a game and being a little bit more cerebral and understanding what the moment calls for. For example, when Ohtani, when the bases are loaded with Tatis and they just had a mound visit, he comes out swinging on the first pitch. But the analytics show that the best pitch to hit off Ohtani is his third or fourth pitch. And knowing these numbers and stats and using them before you get into the game, and that's not necessarily on the hitting coach, it's on the player themselves. And using this to their advantage and knowing as a pitcher that if these guys are swinging at stuff off the plate, why give them anything on the plate to hit? And one of the great things about Luis Arraez was short to it, long through it, just get the wood on the bat, put the ball in place. And you don't see that right now. And this streak of runners in scoring position is kind of reverting to what the team did in the last postseason too. So I think it's something they can find a way out of, but it's better quality at bats. And I think using analytics to get there. And that's not on the coach. That's on the player being cerebral, being what they are, big leaguers, and just sitting and fighting at these bats and waiting for that pitch to hit, and then just working with just taking what it has.
Yeah, David, they have to. I mean, sometimes they have to be able to apply what they are told and be able to use it. And sometimes you go up there thinking about this is what I'm going to do, and then you don't do it. That happens a lot. It's staying disciplined in the box. I mean, that's also part of the deal. And it's hard to stay disciplined when you're struggling. And then it starts to just snowball effect. It starts to snowball out of control. I mean, this is what you experience when you're up there as a hitter. So I do think it's a lot of individual effort. Not really effort, but it's individual. It's the discipline from the individuals that needs to be a little bit better in the box. They have to be able to apply some of this. Let's get out to Rich in Santa. Rich, we have about a minute and a half. What do you got for us today?
Well, first I have the new over-the-line name. Mine is I knew Stammen would suck. And the reason why I knew it is he came in everybody's buddy. And I've been a baseball fan longer than you guys have been on the planet. And I'm a huge Oakland A's fan. I saw those 3 world championships in a row. I've seen Dick Williams and come to the Padres, do what he did. Tony La Russa do what he did. I've seen the Billy Martin years. The issue I see with 10 of 13 regular hitters hitting way below their season average. I mean, Machado's 110 below his 279 average. Cronenworth is 144 points below. Fermin, what the hell? Delanos comes in. He's way below his average. The issue is we have a country club attitude in that clubhouse. No one respects Stammen. They're his buddy. Nobody's fired up. Everybody still kind of laughs and jokes after losses. So you have this many, and when you have this many veterans that are simultaneously underperforming below their baselines, that's not just a slump. It's a cultural issue. And whether or not we want to continue with Stammen and just kind of endure or wait till next year type season, or we bring someone in, just shake it all up. You know, I'm a little ticked because I think Benji Gill might have been that guy.
Rich, I appreciate the phone call. I don't think it's Craig Stammen's fault. I mean, these guys are highly paid professionals. A guy out there being a rah-rah guy and being this isn't the 1980s anymore or the 90s. Plus, how do you know what the clubhouse is like if you're not in the clubhouse? We're in the clubhouse. They're not like that. New lunchtime hour when we come back.
Parks from the Gas Lamp to North County, No one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime year.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
Noon hour here in the Bill House Studios. We know how. Coming up later, we will have our guest, our weekly hit with Bob Scanlon. Joins us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bang Banking. It's better. Still got a lot to talk about today on the show. When we go to break, we are going to be giving away tickets to the Del Mar Fair, San Diego County Fair. We will get to that as we go to break. We have 2 4-packs of tickets to give away today for the fair that starts on June 10th. We'll get to that in just a little bit. But first, what else is going on in sports? Let's get to today's sports thread.
The one that's always blowing up with the biggest sports takes, debates, and breaking news.
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me.
Yeah, we've got that too. Welcome to the Sports Thread, where we break down the top 5 stories in sports, just like you would with your crew.
Oh, no! Disaster! What a bad idea!
No filters, no silence, just real talk.
All right, Frank, what we got going on in the sports world today?
Boy, we got some fun here, boy.
Number 1.
Josh Jacobs.
Oh, God.
Was arrested Tuesday in Wisconsin on multiple domestic violence-related charges, including a felony strangulation and suffocation charge, according to jail records. The Green Bay Packers star and former All-Pro running back is denying the allegations through his attorneys, who say important evidence has not yet been made public. The Packers and the National Football League acknowledged the situation but declined to further comment while the investigation remains ongoing. The arrest casts major uncertainty over one of Green Bay's top offensive players, just as offseason workouts are getting underway. When star athletes face serious legal allegations, should teams and leagues take action immediately with suspensions, or should they wait until the full legal process plays out?
I think teams have to wait because of potential situations of, and I'm not saying this is the case for this, but the reality is, what do we believe in the United States?
Innocent until proven guilty.
Right. In a fair trial by a jury of your peers and all that stuff. So if we believe in that in the United States and our Constitution says that, whatever, then we should allow the legal process to play out, and then they should make their judgments based on what the legal processes are. I know a lot of people emotionally never want to do that, and I have no reason to defend Josh Jacobs for any reason. I'm not a Packers fan, none of that. But with every one of these situations, the best thing to do, and we've gotten away from it for news and clicks and trying to be self-righteous and virtuous. But the reality is, you got to let the courts handle this stuff. And then once this full story comes out, then as an organization, you can make your decision. As an individual, you can make your decision. That is what we should be doing, in my opinion. Maybe that differs with everybody else, but I feel like that's the sane approach to this.
I agree 100%.
Number 2.
NCAA finally does a thing right. They have denied Brendan Sorsby's request for reinstatement on Tuesday, keeping the Texas Tech quarterback ineligible for this upcoming season as his lawsuit against the NCAA heads to a critical court hearing in Texas. Sorsby admitted in court filings that he bet on Indiana football games while dealing with a gambling addiction, though he says he never bet against his team or on games that he played in. Texas Tech University officials, including President Lawrence, I'm not hurting myself, and athletic director Kirby Hocutt, publicly defended Sorsby and argued that the NCAA should show more flexibility given his addiction treatment and mental health struggles. The case is quickly becoming a major debate over whether the NCAA's strict gambling policies fit the realities of legalized sports betting and athletes' mental health support. Should the NCAA stick to its zero-tolerance gambling rules no matter what the circumstances are, or should athletes like Sorsby given a second chance after seeking treatment and taking accountability?
Why are we entertaining this?
I don't know.
Why are we entertaining this? These are the rules. You do not bet on sports when you're an athlete. Those are the rules. Now, because it's a quarterback that's getting a lot of money in the transfer portal to play for Texas Tech, we're going to pretend that these are no longer the rules. I don't care what team he bet on. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? I mean, like the Pete Rose thing was crazy. It's like, oh, well, I wasn't betting against my team. I was, why open the loophole like that? It should be cut and dry. If you're a player or a coach or whatever, you do not bet on sports. You lose that ability if you want to do this job. And yes, I said it's a job. They're getting paid now. I don't know why all of a sudden, because you can gamble on your phone, that we just like, he feels bad about it. He'll never do it again. Like it's, you should let him play. It's like, what? What about all the federal investigation in Major League Baseball and the NBA and stuff like that? I guess those guys were throwing games, so it's different. But if they were betting on other sports, it's like, it's fine. I was betting on other teams. Come on. Give me a break.
Should athletes like Brendan Sorsby be given a second chance after seeking treatment and taking accountability?
No.
Yes, he should.
Not for this.
After he pays his penalty for it. So, yeah.
Should be getting suspended. Like,
yeah.
He didn't pay. If you just let him play, he doesn't get any type of punishment for betting on sports, which is against the NCAA violations. When I was at TCU working video, I had to sign a legal document saying I would not gamble. I would not talk to any type of gambling people. I would not release inside information. Everybody that works in college athletics has to sign this document, but we're going to allow a quarterback in college football to make all of these bets, and it's okay because he said then after he went to rehab. These are the rules. I don't know what is so hard about this. Good
athletes, especially football players, are taught from a young age that they can get away with murder. That's it. I saw it in high school. I saw it in high school firsthand, and it's just that mentality continues. And like I said, yes, he should be given a second chance.
After he serves a punishment of some kind.
Yes, in 2027. For 2026, no, he does not deserve a second chance.
He's a senior, right?
I
think he's a senior. You
should have thought about that,
That's
dude.
why there's a saying, when you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. Here you go, Sorsby. Here's your stupid prize. You just, to win a couple $100 or whatever they bet, you just threw away
millions
and lit on fire a pile of millions of dollars because you wanted to gamble on, what did he say, Indiana?
Yeah.
Football?
Mm-hmm.
You made a bet on Indiana football, and in doing so, you lit a match and you threw it on the $7 million you got from Texas Tech because you wanted to win like $25, a couple $100. It's the same thing with the NBA guys that were throwing games. They were getting paid millions upon millions of dollars, and they lit that on fire to make a couple $100,000. It amazed me, the level of stupidity, and now the level of stupidity from Texas Tech and the NCAA. It's different now. Give me a break. What a joke! What a joke! Just let them all gamble, let them all play, and we'll see how the sports world turns into. I mean, at this point, let them all gamble. Let them gamble on their own games. See how many people are going to watch your sports anymore. This is getting out of hand.
I'm going to do an impression of the judge in this hearing.
Oh, no. Anyway,
moving on.
You know what? I give credit to the judge that was supposed to hear this. That was a Texas Tech alumni and from Lubbock that said, nope, not going to do this.
100%.
Passing it on. And again, I'm not saying all gambling's bad, right? You could do with your money what you want. But when you have certain jobs, you cannot do those things. Otherwise, you lose the integrity of the game.
Mm-hmm.
You played quarterback at Texas Tech. Well, he played at Cincinnati. But you cannot do that. And then guess what? When you're done playing, bet as much as you want.
You were allegedly supposed to be playing football at Texas Tech.
Yeah.
Number 3.
The curse of the President's Trophy still lives on. The Las Vegas Golden Knights are headed back to the Stanley Cup Final after completing a stunning sweep of the Colorado Avalanche with a 2-1 win in Game 4 of the Western Conference Finals. Cole Smith scored the game winner midway through the third period, while Captain Mark Stone added another goal as Vegas knocked out the NHL's top overall seed and President's Trophy winners. Colorado made a late push behind a goal from Gabriel Landeskog, but the Golden Knights held on to clinch their third Stanley Cup Final appearance in franchise history, a 10-year franchise history, by the way, and continue one of the most impressive playoff runs in recent memory. Was this series more about Vegas proving it's built for playoff hockey, or Colorado completely falling short under the pressure of championship expectations?
Colorado falling short. I think it's all about Colorado falling short. I mean, I watched that series in a sense of like, wow, the Ducks were not that far off, to be honest with you. I mean, they ended up taking on the team that what is representing the Western Conference in the Stanley Cup Final. That's how I view that series. But if you look at the standings, if you look at the NHL standings to finish the season, everybody was laughing at the Pacific Division, were they not? Laughing at them. The Pacific Division. They just thought somebody's got to be represented. Somebody's got to be represented in the Pacific Division. They all stink. They don't have a lot of wins. They all got these overtime losses they have, racking up the points. If you look at the overall standings for the Pacific Division, the Vegas Golden Knights had 39 wins on the season. 39 wins. Do you want to in the Western Conference, if you rank the teams just by wins, Vegas had 6 teams in front of them. If you look at the league standings, like the entire league, Vegas was in the bottom third of the league in overall wins in hockey. 39 Stanley Cup Final. If you look at the list of teams, I'm going to list teams for you that finished in front of the Knights in terms of overall wins. Washington Capitals, New York Islanders, New Jersey Devils, Detroit Red Wings, Columbus Blue Jackets, Florida Panthers. They all had more wins than the Vegas Golden Knights this year.
And they all missed the playoffs.
I was going to ask you. That was my next question. What do they all have in common? None of them made the playoffs. The Knights had more wins than 10 teams in a 32-team league. Everybody else either had the same amount of wins or more than the Knights at the end of the season. They made all of their hay on overtime losses. And guess what? They made the Stanley Cup Final. Good for them. That's great. Avalanche had 55 wins on the season. They had the most by anybody in the National Hockey League. They won the President's Trophy. And I think, Frank, the bigger question is, does the President's Trophy curse live on? And I think the answer is yes.
Yeah. If you win the President's Trophy, you are in some serious trouble. And again, they have also, much in the same way that the Knicks have, they have dispatched of their opponents fairly quickly. So they haven't had that build up, and they had to wait a little bit. Meanwhile, Vegas was in a slugfest with Anaheim. They've had a tougher road through the playoff for sure. Had them ready, had them battle tested. Well, Colorado cruised.
This is why you can't sit there at the end of the year and be like, oh, well, the Western Conference, the Pacific Division is just, they're just there. Like, they're just going to get smoked. I mean, the Ducks and the Knights showed that they were going to do some serious damage. And you know what? The high and mighty Central with the Avs up there couldn't handle the Knights. So good for the Knights making it through. I'm not a huge Knights fan. I mean, they kind of got the benefit of they got such a great haul from their expansion draft because the NHL screwed up the whole expansion draft thing that they had to ruin it for the Kraken, who have never been able to get anything going.
Oops.
In Seattle.
Our bad.
But anyway, it just goes to show that playoff hockey is different, and you got to go out there and handle business when you have pressure, and Colorado did not.
Of the top 4 sports, the Stanley Cup playoffs are by far and away the best.
Number 4.
The Oklahoma City Thunder moved within one win of the NBA Finals thanks to another huge performance from their supporting cast, beating the San Antonio Spurs, despite relatively quiet nights from stars Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Victor Wembanyama. Veteran guard Alex Caruso sparked Oklahoma City with 20 points and strong defense, while Isaiah Hartenstein, former Knick, dominated the glass and helped to frustrate Wembanyama defensively. Rookie Jared McCain also stepped up in the biggest game of his career, scoring 18 second-half points as the Thunder's depth once again proved to be the difference in the series. Are the Thunder proving that elite depth and roster construction matter more in the playoffs and relying solely on superstar performances?
I think they're proving that if you flop, you make it to the finals.
Yeah, that's been really bad
it
this
shows
series.
Just how fun the
so
NBA is
bad.
to watch. Yeah, NBA is so fun. I don't want to hear NBA fans complain about soccer. I don't want to hear it. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, it's been pathetic. It really has.
Number 5.
Been holding on to this one for a while since we haven't gotten this deep into the sports thread in weeks. A championship ring belonging to legendary USA hockey coach Herb Brooks sold for $549,000 at auction.
I'd rather have a house, condo, or something.
Showing just how powerful the legacy of the Miracle on Ice still is more than 4 decades later. The ring commemorates the iconic 1980 Olympic victory over the Soviet Union and one of the greatest upsets in sports history, and remains one of the most valuable pieces of Olympic hockey memorabilia ever sold. What is the greatest upset in sports history? The Miracle on Ice, or is there another moment that tops it?
Miracle on Ice is pretty awesome. I mean, it's so awesome to the point like the advertisements for. Have you seen this World Cup ad for the Team USA?
Yes.
Where it's like, you really think USA is going to like win the World Cup, and then it gets to whoever it was. I forget. Is it one of the members of the Miracle on Ice? It's like, you believe in miracles?
Probably Eruzione. It was the captain of the team.
Eruzione. It's hard to find a more of an upset. And again, like that was back when the United States had amateurs playing.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have professionals playing hockey or playing any of the team sports. I think it's hard to find one of those, at least off the top of my head.
It was interesting. I watched a documentary a while ago about the other side of that game, the Soviet Union side. And it was just another loss. And they went on after that and just continued for another 5 years, dominating every Olympics, dominating every NHL All-Star team that was put in front of them. It was nothing more than a blip on the radar for the Soviet Union. It was a loss. That's all it was.
That's usually the case for a lot of heavy favorites like that too. It's just like, all right, well, we lost.
It was like, oops.
We have breaking news that actually plays perfectly in what we were going to talk about next. The labor negotiations have started in Major League Baseball. The Players Association sent their proposal, and the owners have now responded with their first proposed salary cap since 1994. Anybody else remember what happened in 1994? Well, hopefully that doesn't happen in 2027. We will talk about that when we come back and what the proposals are on the Braden Surprenant Show. Static is over at Sports Station 97 through the Fan.
Notre Dame and the ACC are back in the middle of college football drama. Some ACC athletic directors are frustrated after Notre Dame opted out of an ACC bowl game last season, calling it everything from arrogant to unfair. But others in the conference say it's not that serious. They argue Notre Dame didn't actually hurt the ACC. Another team just slid into the bowl spot, and everybody still got paid. Meanwhile, the Irish remain one of the biggest brands in college football and still play a partial ACC schedule. So here's the tension. Notre Dame brings huge TV value in marquee matchups, but doesn't fully commit to the conference. At the same time, the ACC is dealing with playoff expansion talks, NIL enforcement issues, and financial pressure compared to the SEC and Big Ten. So is Notre Dame a valuable partner for the ACC or a constant source of friction in an already unstable college football system? Notre Dame versus the ACC as tensions now resurface as we get closer to the NCAA football season. A new storyline is starting to heat up inside the Atlantic Coast Conference meetings as the relationship between the conference and the University of Notre Dame is once again under the microscope. The spark came from Notre Dame declining an ACC-affiliated bowl game last December after narrowly missing the college football playoff. That decision drew strong anonymous criticism from some ACC athletic directors in a report with comments ranging from frustration to accusations of arrogance. But once the dust settled, a different tone emerged from the ACC and ACC administrators, some of whom pushed back, arguing Notre Dame wasn't actually hurting the conference, but opting out, especially since another team simply moved up in the bowl rotation. Notre Dame has historically been successful in ACC bowl tie-ins, going undefeated in those matchups during its scheduling partnership with the league. But it's a complicated partnership that still kind of works. At the center of this, Notre Dame's longstanding partial affiliation with the ACC, which dates back to 2014, the Irish remain independent in football but play a rotating schedule of ACC opponents and are required to meet certain scheduling agreements each year. Some ACC schools want Notre Dame to commit to a more consistent conference scheduling, while Notre Dame believes certain series like Stanford and upcoming matchups with Clemson should count towards those requirements. Still, both sides acknowledge the relationship is valuable. Notre Dame brings national ratings and marquee matchups, while ACC schools get high-profile games they wouldn't otherwise have. Even critics within the league admit the arrangement is more of a mutual benefit than with friction than a broken partnership. As this is all going about in college football, you have a couple other things that we want to get into. College football playoff expansion debate continuing to heat up, NIL enforcement and financial pressure, and the rise of alternative media deals. Let's start with college football playoff expansion debate. I've seen a lot of topic on this. I am a believer in a 2014 playoff. I think that's the way to go. The FCS already does it. There'd be no reason why the FBS doesn't do it. And anybody that tells you that it's bad for college football has some sort of agenda where they benefit from it not being 24 teams, or they're affiliated with a conference that benefits with the playoff not being 24 teams. I mean, it's another major topic, not only in the ACC circles, but also everybody else's circles when it comes to potential expansion. In terms of the ACC, their leadership, including Commissioner Jim Phillips, has pushed back against concerns that expansion would damage the regular season. Instead, league officials argue a larger playoff could actually increase the value of non-conference scheduling, encouraging more marquee matchups because a single loss would matter less in a bigger field. Critics, however, argue the opposite, that expanding the field risks weakening the importance of the regular season and conference championships. Still, ACC leaders believe college football's limited number of games means fans will continue to care deeply regardless of the playoff size. I don't believe that college football is going to be worse off by having 24 teams in the college football playoff. All it's going to do is make games more meaningful for teams that, with a loss or two early in the season, would have just had a complete season where nobody cared. And I'm not talking about the power conferences like the SEC or the Big Ten or even the top half of the ACC or the Big 12. But the reality is, the more that these schools stay in the race, the better it is for college football and the bigger the games you're going to get in other conferences. And that's the biggest problem with this debate is they're only looking at it from an SEC Big Ten perspective. The examples that every expert always gives is, oh, the big game between Michigan and Ohio State is going to mean just a little bit less. So what if it does? So what if it doesn't? I don't think it's personally going to be like that because Michigan and Ohio State hate each other. But at the same time, who cares if it does? That game already is between two teams that will most likely be in the playoff every single year. But you know what it does? It then adds value to San Diego State playing Boise State. It adds more value to San Diego State playing Colorado State to throw in some local perspective. It makes Iowa State and Houston matter late in the season. Those are two teams that might not be playing for a playoff spot. And here's the reality. This is where the people come across on like being on their high horse. They go, well, those games matter because they care about bowl games.
12:25 on the Braden Surprenant Show. We are broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. All of our guests join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bang Banking. It's better. All right. So we have had a couple of proposals thrown out there already for the new CBA. I'm going to tell you right now, just based on what I have seen from the Players Association from yesterday and what I've seen from the owners group today, it already seems like they are a lot closer than they have been in the years past. Now, the biggest issue here is the salary cap, but based on what I saw yesterday, I honestly liked a lot of the things that the players suggested, and what I have seen of the owner's response, I think is also a very fair proposal, and I think it's something to work with right now when it comes to a negotiation for the new labor agreement that needs to be in effect before December 1st, when the end of the year for the calendar, the baseball calendar ends, so they could play in 2027. Now, let's talk about what the players had. Like, the central fight for this, by the way, the players obviously want richer salaries. They want freer markets. They want to be able to pick and choose where they play and make a ton of money in the process, and stronger penalties for cheap owners. Owners want cost certainty, spending restraints, and more parity between rich and poor franchises. The Dodgers actually have some comments on this, which I find interesting, that we'll get to in just a little bit. But let's talk about what happened yesterday. So the MLB Players Association is trying to not cap the spending because they feel like their players aren't going to make enough, and they want to force cheap owners to spend more. So I'm out on the first thing that they say. I'm in on the second thing. There are two parts to this. There are teams that spend way too much money on players, and there's teams that don't spend any money on players. And you have to cap the top part, and you have to force the bottom half to spend more. You can't have one without the other. So instead of the NFL, NBA style, NHL style salary cap system, the players union wants more revenue sharing. They want bigger payroll minimums. They want higher luxury tax thresholds. They want faster to get to free agency, more arbitration money, bigger minimum salaries, more rewards for young stars. They want more money. That's not surprising. I'm not surprised by that. The players want to preserve the open market system that Major League Baseball has while redistributing more money aggressively. They want more money. Fair enough. Under the current system, MLB does not have a salary cap, unlike the NFL, NBA, NHL. They have a luxury tax, which is called the competitive balance tax. Teams that spend above a payroll threshold pay penalties. The current threshold for 2026 is $244 million. You get over that threshold, you pay penalties. Higher spenders face escalating tax penalties and draft pick punishments, which has hurt the Padres because they go over the threshold, but they don't get rewarded for spending money on their team. They get punished. So the middle teams are actually the ones that get punished the most. Revenue sharing. Big market teams share revenue with small market teams. That is a current thing right now. No payroll floor. There's no payroll floor. You have to pay a certain amount of money. Or you don't have to pay a certain amount of money on your roster. You can pay as little as you want. That's why teams like the Dodgers spend $300+ million, and teams like the Marlins or Pirates can run dramatically lower payrolls. So here's what the players are proposing. The players yesterday proposed a $300 million luxury tax threshold. So right now, the first threshold for the luxury tax is $244 million. They want it to be increased to $300 million to, eliminate some of the penalties for teams at the top that are spending money. And they want it to rise to $360 million by 2031. That is an enormous jump, obviously. This would reduce penalties on mega spenders, let teams like the Dodgers, Mets, Yankees, Phillies spend even more aggressively than they already do, and it weakens the deterrent effect on the tax. The owners don't like this because they believe it worsens the payroll disparity I kind of agree with the owners on this. It does. This doesn't actually do anything. Major League Baseball specifically complained the Dodgers would effectively gain another $70 million in spending room under the proposal. Let me ask you this, Frank. Do you want to see the Dodgers spend an additional $70 million?
Yes.
No, you don't.
No, I don't.
No, I don't. Shoot, you don't want the Mets to spend an additional $70 million either. Who knows what they would do with their $70 million extra payroll.
I'd feel a lot better if the boy genius wasn't there.
I think that would be a bad idea. You cannot, it's not, the tax doesn't do anything, okay? The players miss me on that part. A competitive integrity tax for cheap owners. I'm not opposed to this. I like this idea. This is arguably the most fascinating part of the proposal. The Players Association wants penalties for low spending teams similar to penalties for high spending teams. I think that's fair.
It's almost like a salary floor, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like an unset salary floor.
Correct.
Son of a gun. What an idea.
In the current system, only teams that spend too much get punished, but there's no punishment for teams that don't want to spend any money and then take that revenue share and then just keep it and pocket it. The proposed system, teams spending too little also get punished. If the payroll drops below $150 million, you have to pay 50% of the collective bargaining tax threshold, or the competitive balance tax, threshold. Teams could lose revenue sharing money, face penalties, lose benefits. I don't mind that. That's like the Pittsburgh Pirates, Miami Marlins rule. Players believe many owners pocket revenue sharing money instead of reinvesting the payroll. They will never know because they'll never see the books, but I don't think that's false. This proposal directly targets tanking franchise. Think Pirates, think A's, think Rays to a lesser degree. They're not trying to tank. They just don't have the money to spend. Think the Marlins. The union is essentially saying if the Dodgers get punished for spending, cheap teams should get punished for not trying to win. I don't mind that rule, Frank. I think that's a good idea.
Agreed. 100%.
So I'm out on the first rule. I'm in on the second part of the proposal from the Players Association. Major revenue sharing overhaul. This part is complicated but extremely important. In the current system, revenue sharing includes local TV money, stadium revenue, other club income. The union proposes to share more of the local TV money and less of the stadium revenue. The union believes TV money reflects market size and attendance should be rewarded. So if a team draws huge crowds, the Padres, it keeps more gate revenue, which is designed to reward teams for winning, reward investment and fan support, pressure owners to compete. I like that too. I think that's also fair. Share more, like the big market teams should be sharing more because they get more money in the TV contracts than the low market teams. And teams like the Padres that don't have a massive TV contract, they shouldn't have to share tons of their gate while they draw high crowds and do the best with what they have. I like this. I also think a lot of the things the Players Association currently have shared or proposed are very fair and a good spot to start negotiations. They get a little bit on terms of the minimum salary, the current minimum salary is $780,000. They're proposing that it goes to $1.5 million in 2027 with upgrades all the way to 2031, where $2.2 million is the lowest threshold on the deal. I think that's fair. I mean, honestly, I don't care how much the players get paid. I just want it to be competitive. That's kind of where I'm at with this. They want faster free agency for older players. So free agency is after 6 years of service time. They have proposed players age 30 plus become free agents after 5 years. So those late bloomers that get there. But teams can keep them for a 6 year if they offer the average of the top 125 salaries, which is kind of like that. That's kind of like a franchise tag. They basically want to propose a franchise tag, like in the NFL. It's very basic. It's probably not exact. It's not exactly the franchise tag. I know there's different rules. Before somebody corrects me, I'm just trying to make it simple for you. Union believes veterans are getting squeezed badly in free agency. It kind of makes sense too, Frank, because by the time these guys get to free agency, they want to get paid for what they have done, not what they're going to do. Mm-hmm. And teams offer them what they're going to do. And so the players that get to the big leagues later miss out on tons of money. Whether or not that's fair and you should try to get to the big leagues earlier is a different question, but I get where they're coming from. And you know what? If you're going to give up a salary cap, this is stuff that you got to try to cash in on. I think this is part of the art of the deal. They want to eliminate qualifying offers. They want to increase money for the pre-arbitration bonus pool, Super 2 arbitration expansion. They want to remove draft pick penalties from luxury tax. They want to expand the draft lottery. I mean, there's a lot of other stuff that's a part of this that we don't have the time to get into right now, but that's what the union wants. The owners gave their proposal today, moments ago. We will tell you what the owners threw out there in a proposal, and we'll have a full breakdown when we come back. But first, if you're the fifth caller, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Fifth caller, you will win a 4-pack of tickets to the San Diego County Fair, returning to Del Mar Fairgrounds, June 10th through July 5th. Details at sdfair.com. Be the fifth caller. You will win tickets to the fair. It's a 4-pack. We'll be giving away another 4-pack in the 1 o'clock hour. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973 for a free 4-pack of tickets to the fair. When we come back, what did the owners propose in this labor negotiations? We'll get to it on the break on the other side.
UC San Diego baseball may not have won the Big West Championship, but the Tritons absolutely made a statement this week. After losing their tournament opener 1-0 to Cal Poly, UC San Diego battled back with 3 straight elimination wins. Steele Murdoch set the program's Division I record with strikeouts, 104 Ks over the course of the season. Nathan Reese threw a complete game shutout against the top-seeded UC Santa Barbara, and then the Tritons crushed Cal Poly 12-2 to force a championship rematch. Even in the title game, UC San Diego fought back from a 4-0 deficit and brought the tying run into scoring position in the 9th inning before falling 4-3 in the game. This tournament proved one thing: the Tritons are no longer just adjusting to Division I baseball. They are ready to compete for championships. UC San Diego Tritons may have fallen just short in the Big West Championship this weekend, but make no mistake about it, this tournament run feels like a turning point for the program. UC San Diego battled all the way from the elimination bracket to the conference championship game, winning 3 straight elimination games before falling 4-3 to Cal Poly on Sunday. And honestly, even in defeat, the Tritons may have officially announced themselves as one of the rising baseball programs on the West Coast. Steele Murdoch had a historic performance, and the week started with him. UC San Diego opened the Big West Championship with a brutal 1-0 loss to Cal Poly in a game where both teams managed only 3 hits. But the headline was Murdoch. Murdoch threw the first complete game for the Tritons since 2024, striking out 11 batters on a career-high 134 pitches. And with that outing, he became the first player in UC San Diego's Division I era to reach 100 strikeouts in a season, finishing with a program record 104. Even though the Tritons left 9 runners on base and couldn't push across a run, Murdoch's performance showed just how elite this pitching staff can be. That was the kind of outing that gets attention around college baseball, whether or not you win or lose. In their first postseason win in Division I, they got right back to it. They got back to it with a win against Cal State Fullerton, as they beat the Titans 5-1 for the program's first Division I postseason victory. Nick Gregson delivered arguably his best performance of the year, going 7 innings and allowing just 1 run. Then Devin King completely shut the door with 2 scoreless innings and the save. Offensively, Gabe Camacho led the way with 3 hits, while Nathaniel Wodleski came through with a huge 2-run double during the late 8th inning rally. That win kept the Tritons' hopes alive and gave the program another major milestone in its Division I journey. And then came Saturday, and it may go down as one of the best days in Tritons baseball history. UC San Diego had to win 2 elimination games in one day to reach the championship. And not only did they win, they dominated both of those games. First, Nathan Reese threw a complete game shutout against top-seeded UC Santa Barbara in a 7-0 victory. Reese was incredible. 9 innings, only 4 hits allowed, a complete game, complete control from start to finish. That marked the first complete game shutout in the program's Division I history. And then later on in that day, the Tritons exploded offensively in a 12-2 run rule victory over Cal Poly. Every starter either scored a run or drove one in. Alex Leopard, Gabe Camacho, Addison Kelpsich, Anthony Potestio, and Trevian Martinez all contributed in huge ways offensively. And suddenly UC San Diego had fought all the way back into the championship game after starting the tournament with a loss. That is resilience, that is toughness, and honestly, that's championship mentality. And then to the championship game. Sunday came against Cal Poly, and it did not start well. The Mustangs jumped out to a 4-0 lead after a 3-run homer in the 5th inning, but the Tritons did not quit. UC San Diego chipped away at the lead, eventually bringing the tying run into scoring position in the 9th inning. Addison Klepsich delivered a huge RBI double to make it 4-3 with Gabe Camacho intentionally walked. J.C. Allen stepped to the plate with a chance to become the hero. He had a rocket to left field, but right at the left fielder. And just like that, the Tritons' incredible tournament run came to an end. Big picture takeaway for UC San Diego, even though they did not win the title, this tournament changed expectations surrounding the entirety of the program. The Tritons finished 3-2 in their first ever Big West Championship appearance, with both losses coming by just 1 run to Cal Poly. Their pitching staff was dominant all week, had a 1.06 team ERA, not individual, a 1.06 team ERA, an opposing batting average of 167, only 4 runs allowed across the first 4 games. That is elite baseball coming at the perfect time. The biggest takeaway right now is that UC San Diego no longer.
12:42 on a Thursday. We're going to get to what the league's proposal was in this particular deal for a new collective bargaining agreement. Adam was just in here, and based on what the play, I'm going to pause what I was going to say. We're going to say it after the fact. Let's get to what the owners proposed. Now, the players have offered what is obviously a very pro-player thing, but they want to get paid a lot more money. And the overall deal here is on December 1st, the current CBA expires, and that you cannot play games without a collective bargaining agreement. Major League Baseball and the Players Association have to get that done in order to play games in 2027 and beyond. We have seen over the last 6 years, because you had a CBA expire and they had to negotiate to try to get players on the field during COVID, we have seen 2 awful negotiations that have cost fans games to a certain extent. Now, the first, they just started the season late on the last one, but we have seen some fiery and feisty and toxic, ruthless negotiations over the course of the last couple of years. The Players Association understands that at the central point of these negotiations are a salary cap, because Major League Baseball understands the fact that they need the league to be more competitive, and they also understand the fact, and there's more metrics to this than I will ever understand, but they do know a capped spending on players is going to help their overall franchise valuations in the future. And that's, at the end of the day,
what every ownership group wants to know, because if and when they decide to sell the team, how much money they're going to get at the end of the day. Because you buy these as investments just as much as it's a fun toy to have. People that buy sports teams never really lose money on the sports team. Okay, so you can see the business side of this too. But the center of this is a salary cap. So the players have proposed everything they possibly can to try to not have a salary cap. They try to throw in some other punishments in there. Okay, so they've increased the luxury tax. They want to get more money, and they're asking for a lot of things in order to start the negotiations. We talked about that in the last segment. If you missed any of it, go back. But here's the league's proposal. The league's proposal, as reported by Jesse Rogers from ESPN and a lot of other Major League Baseball writers, national writers, that Major League Baseball has proposed a hard salary cap to union officials today as part of the next CBA. The salary floor for teams beginning in 2027 would be set at $171.2 million, which includes player benefits, with the ceiling at $245.3 million. When we read that the first time, I thought a couple of things. One, way higher than I initially thought Major League Baseball's ownership group would do.
The floor, you mean?
I think both of them are way high.
I
thought because
the ceiling would be about 250.
I didn't. I thought it would be around 2. But you got to think from the standpoint of, like, you know, owners, the cheap owners don't want to spend that much. And I thought, based on who is leading the charge on the salary cap, and if it was really about not paying the players instead of like getting parity, if you will, they were going to lowball them. But they didn't. Like, the floor, I thought for sure it'd be at like $150 million. I thought the ceiling would be at $220. The floor's at $171 million, and the ceiling's at $245. And that's just the starting point. I think those numbers are going to change a handful of times. I can't believe how high the floor is. I mean, Jesse Rogers then later tweeted about how, like, according to the league proposal, who would be not in line with the cap of the floor. 12 teams would have to increase their payroll, and 8 teams would have to shed payroll. That's 20 teams not in compliance with the new proposal that was pitched by the owners of Major League Baseball. On top of the MLB proposal, it includes a 50-50 split of revenues with the players, as well as revenue from local media, centralized and then shared equally. As revenues go up, so does the cap. Side note to Jesse Rogers' tweet: if the union agrees to the concept of a cap, the league would be open to negotiating a host of things, including phasing it in, a Larry Bird-esque rule, and changes to free agency and arbitration, et cetera, early stages here. Okay.
No,
you would think.
Go Aztecs, no.
You would think. That's the second part. You would think that the Dodgers would cry foul. But in an article by Bill Shaken that just came out in the LA Times, Dodgers owner Mark Walter acknowledges baseball needs salary cap measures to ensure competitive balance, saying revenue disparity prevents small market teams from winning. The Dodgers' $850 million annual revenue dwarfs competitors like the Diamondbacks at $324 million, exemplifying the financial gulf, driving owners' desire for cost controls. A looming collective bargaining agreement negotiation could jeopardize the season, with wealthy Dodgers expected to face blame if labor disputes escalate. It doesn't really sound like they're super against this. Remember, they have to say yes to this too in order to make the proposal. In this article by Bill Shaken, this is what it says. Sit down, Dodgers fans. You might expect the owner of the Rockies to say that revenue disparity amongst teams is so great that competitive balance has been destroyed. And he did. Dick Monfort did. You might not expect the Dodgers owner to do it. His direct quote: here's what the problem is. Money helps us win. We can't win all the time. We've got to have some parity. That's what the Dodgers owner said. I'm going to say that again. Are you not surprised by this as I am?
Here's what the problem is. Money helps us win. He just flat out says it. We can't win all the time. This is the owner of the Dodgers. We've got to have some parity. So we've got to come up with something that will give us some parity. I mean, he still wants to win. He still wants to win. But the owners, and Walter included, are increasingly united in the belief that revenue disparity is the primary explanation why a small market team has not won the World Series in 11 years. It goes on to talk about all the money that the Dodgers have made. And it goes into like the whatever, like the sales of stuff, the TV contracts. And the reality is the owner of the Dodgers has the same opinion as everybody else in Major League Baseball. And it's like, we have to make this more parity. I find that shocking because when you hear the proposal that the owners gave, you immediately think there's no way the Dodgers and Yankees sign off on this. There's no way. But apparently they did because they wouldn't have offered it if they were like, we're out on this deal. It tells me a couple of things. It tells me that the owners have never been more unified on a salary cap and a salary floor, and they're going to do whatever it takes to make this happen. And right now, based on the two proposals, I have two takeaways. One, they are more aligned, the players and the owners, than I initially thought, which I think is good news for Major League Baseball fans. And number two, based on everything that is listed, I think of one team that benefits the most out of all of this, and it's your San Diego Padres. The Padres are going to, if this thing shakes out, and this is the beginning part of the conversations, when you start to merge these things, because there's going to be a common ground, there's going to be a lot of negotiation, but when you start to merge these two proposals, in essence, and we'll talk more about this in the 1 o'clock hour after Bob Scanlon joins the show, the Padres are going to get more money in revenue sharing from other TV contracts. Everybody's going to be playing by the same rules in terms of a salary cap and a salary floor. So the Padres are going to make more money, and the Dodgers are going to have to spend less money with a brand new owner that likes to spend money. And they're going to get rewarded for having large crowds because you're going to keep more of the gate and less of the TV contract. Everything in this proposal by both sides benefits the Padres. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, it definitely does. And it's interesting how both of the proposals more or less have the same stuff in it.
They are.
It's just that the Players Association refuses to use the term salary cap or
Correct.
salary floor. They want teams to be penalized for spending less, which is a salary floor, basically. They want, I think the arbitration stuff is really, really interesting because he is right. I mean, if you think about the average player goes to a 4-year university, they get drafted at 22, then just again, the average player spends 1 year at each level. They get called up by the time they're 26, 27. By that point, they have no shot at making the massive contracts. So limiting arbitration in that way, I think is better. It is actually a very good idea. But it says a lot that both sides are coming together with basically the same proposal, just with the players not using the term cap or floor, and the owners are. It's very, very interesting from what we had anticipated to what has become reality.
And I think the players have asked for a ton of money to try to make that happen. And you know what? I bet you the owners say yes to a lot of those things. It's going to come down to the cap, and it's going to come down to how large the cap is and what the floor is. I mean, and you could see I could see a situation where the floor is close to $200 million and the ceiling's close to $300 million, and that's your wiggle room. and all sides win at that.
And we're gonna have Bill Shaken on tomorrow. Just confirm that. So Bill will be on tomorrow to talk about this.
You say hi to him yesterday at the press box?
I did not. No, I didn't.
He's
see
sitting down next to us. At the
Oh,
press
for
box.
God's sake!
Nice, Frank.
Point him out next time.
You should text him. Say apologize for not saying hi. Bob Scanlon joins us next. Final hour of the Braden Surprenant Show, setting his number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Get to this every Thursday. It's a joy to talk to him every single time we can. Frank said it off air. He's like, man, when I talk to Bob, it just puts a smile on my face. He gets us fired up.
So exciting. And it's
great.
Yes, I love
talking to Bob. And he joins us on the STCCU fan hotline. Bob Scanlon joining the Braden Surprenant Show, talks Padres baseball. Bob, how's your off day going out on the East Coast?
It's going great, and it fires me up to talk to you guys as well. It was great to see you guys at the ballpark, and now we get a chance to talk long distance today on our Thursdays, talking some Padre hardball. But all is good. How about for you guys?
It's going well. It's going a lot better than the Padres offense, which I know is the main focal point of a lot of conversations. I know you and Mike Pomerantz and Mary Lou's and everybody with the TV crew are probably tired of talking about it just as much as we are on the radio, but it's the glaring problem right now for the Padres. And as you see with the Stars, a couple of them are going down in May. Fernando's actually starting to look like he's putting together a lot better at-bats right now. You get to see this team on a daily basis. I know it's frustrating them, but your overall sense from just the clubhouse about how frustrating this has been for the Padres players as they try to battle through this slump.
I think we've pretty much covered it, haven't we?
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, it's been the topic, and with reason. I mean, it has been an issue, and it's been an ongoing issue. As far as the players' perspective, I know that they're frustrated. Obviously, anytime a guy is not performing at the level that he knows he's capable of, it's going to be frustrating, and it's not for a lack of effort. It's not for a lack of trying things. It's not for a lack of the organization trying some different things as well. I've heard that they've tried different ways of sending the information and what can we do to change things up here? And so far, nothing has really caught in terms of us being able to see this explosion of all of a sudden, oh my gosh, here we go. We're off and running. And I know I hear the term often, when's that big hit going to come that's going to, open up the floodgates and everything's going to be fine. And sometimes that does happen, right? But let's be honest, we've seen a lot of big hits already this year. They haven't necessarily been from the big guys, right? But we've seen big hits from Gavin Sheets and Castellanos and France and Andujar, so there have been big hits, just not from the big guys. And sometimes it is a big hit that turns it around for a guy, right? But oftentimes it's not, Braden, as you know. Sometimes it's just sort of, and I've just said slow boil sometimes, in terms of, okay, you get a hit, and a couple days later now it's two hits, and it's just a quality at bat or a couple of walks, and the next thing you know, you're putting, you string it along, and then you look back over the last 10 games, and all of a sudden, oh wow, I'm hitting 335 over the last 10 games, and I had a home run, and I've got some RBIs in, and it just slowly you start finding yourself. So sometimes it is one big hit. More often, I feel like it's more of a slow process that you start to see, and you brought up Fernando, for example. He got some hits yesterday. He was on base 7 out of 9 times the first 2 games against the Phillies. We're seeing some opposite field line drives, and you start to think to yourself, okay, maybe Fernando's starting to find it. Jackson Merrill yesterday against one of the toughest lefties in all of Major League Baseball, Christopher Sanchez, he gets 2 hits and 2 really good at bats. A line drive opposite field on a fastball, which is vintage Jackson Merrill. And because he's looking opposite field for the fastball, he then gets a changeup in a later at bat, and he's able to stay on that and keep that fair as well. So little things like that may not be super exciting right now, but hopefully are trending in the right direction, because that's what we've got to assume at this point, right, Braden? I mean, look, we're a third of the way through the season. I'm as stunned as anybody else that the offense has been more productive than it has. And at the same time, there's still 2/3 of the season to go. So there's still plenty of time for these guys to find their groove, start hitting the way we know they can hit, and start carrying this ball club the way we know they're capable of. And quite frankly, we know they really need to do, because what they've been doing is up to this point, they've been winning, but I don't think it's been sustainable.
We're talking with Bob Scanlon here on a Thursday, obviously about the Padres offense. We're going to get some other things in just a little bit. He joins us on the STCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bang Banking. It's better. Do you take any solace in, I thought, Manny's at-bats yesterday were a lot better than we've seen in the past. He just missed probably 2 home runs just getting underneath him. Do you take any solace in that? I mean, that seems to be like another little thing for Manny. But I will say this too. You've been down in the clubhouse a lot. I mean, Manny doesn't speak every single day. In the last 3 days, he has spoken and he has taken responsibility for the offense, which I think is a great sign of leadership for Manny. But I felt like he just missed 2 against Christopher Sanchez yesterday.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. He did. You're right. They went to the warning track, 2 good swings. And to your point, Manny talking to the press, taking accountability. My experience with Manny is that's kind of always who he's been as a Padre. And I spent a lot of time in the clubhouse. The last 10 years, my primary role has been as the field reporting, being in that clubhouse every single day for at least an hour and being around the dugout and all that kind of stuff. And, there's certain days where Manny's not available because he's in the training room getting treatment or doing whatever it may be. But I've never known him to purposely avoid the media, especially when things aren't going well. I feel like he's a stand-up guy. He's always been straightforward with me personally in terms of my Q&As with him and interactions with him. And so it doesn't surprise me that he's stood up and taken accountability for what's going on. But yeah, to your point, I do hope that maybe that's like we were just talking about. Maybe those are some of the signs early on that some things are going in the right direction, along with a couple of home runs lately on some fastballs in the zone. So I hope you're right. I hope it is a trend, and we can see it carry over here into Washington. And really, Washington should be hopefully a good place where they can do that. We know that they face some tough pitching against the Phillies, but the Washington Nationals, quite frankly, their claim to fame is offense, not pitching. They've got, I think, the 6th highest, or maybe 26th in terms of team ERA. In other words, they're giving up some runs. So this could be a good place for some of those positive trends that you just mentioned to continue and hopefully fully bloom here.
We haven't talked too much about Jackson Merrill. He's kind of, not been the focal point. I think a lot of people have mentioned him, obviously, with the offense, too. He has had some tough at-bats, and this is more of a adjustment question. I mean, his first year, he dominated and did a great job and was close to winning the Rookie of the Year. Last year, battled injuries, didn't necessarily, and maybe he did. I don't know. But I always get told from players and people that have been part of Major League Baseball for a long time, it's not when you first come up to the big leagues when you have success. It's like, how do you adjust to the league adjusting to you? Is this maybe a little bit of that in play, or is this just a long slump? I know he missed some time. Maybe he got that experience a little bit last year. But it's kind of a 2-part question. Where do you think Jackson Merrill is at with that? And then, what is it about that adjustment you have to make to the league after they figure out, who you are?
Yeah, great questions. And I thought for sure, to your point, after last year with Jackson, who had, a down year after his rookie year. Look, let's face it, his rookie year was amazing, right? And
it's hard to keep those up every single year.
Hard to keep it up every single year, especially when you're injured. So last year we kind of gave him a pass because he had a lot of strange injuries and stuff going on. I was like, okay, so he was my pick to click this year coming into the season of who do I think's really going to bust out? Jackson Merrill, let's go. But it just hasn't turned out that way. And this, the question is, it just a slump or is the league adjusting? I think it's more the league adjusting at this point. We've seen a lot of breaking balls. We've seen a lot of breaking balls down and in. And then the adjustment, of course, it's always incumbent upon a player to adjust to the league because the league will adjust to you. And then that cat and mouse continues, right? You start proving, first thing they want to know, can you hit the fastball in? And he proved in his rookie year he could hit the fastball in, and he had home runs, and they kept challenging him in there because they knew he was basically an opposite field type guy. So his challenge was, okay, I got to prove to MLB pitchers that I can get to the fastball inside, and he did that. And then this year it's been more, okay, now you've proved you can get to the fastball inside. How about the breaking ball down in your back foot? That's been the big test for him. And to be honest with you, it's surprised me that he's had challenges with off-speed pitches this year because of how balanced he is in the batter's box as an opposing pitcher looking at him and analyzing him. He's so good at just staying back, not lunging, head doesn't move. And I always felt like this is going to be a really tough guy from a pitcher's perspective to try to work back and forth because he's so good at hitting the ball opposite field and he's so balanced in his approach. And yet here he is having problems with off-speed pitches. So you never know. And yeah, it's up to the player to understand how teams are going after him and doing one of two things. You either get better at recognizing that pitch that's giving you problems and you start trying to get to it, or you get better at recognizing it and saying, okay, I know what it is, but I'm not chasing it. And that's going to be, up to him to try to figure out which is the better way to do it, guys, right? It's either if they're going to go there and they're throwing strikes in there, I've got to be able to hit that, like the fastball in his rookie year, right? These are now more breaking pitches out of the zone. I've got to learn to recognize that and not chase it, and prove to those guys that they've got to get back into the zone. Once they're in the zone, I can do some damage. So there's just the technical side like that, but then there's also the emotional side of you're being challenged and you're struggling and you're trying to bust out of it, and you start putting pressure on yourself, and you're better than this, and I got to turn it around. It sounds easier than it is, but Jackson being who he is, I am confident he will figure it out, because this kid has been challenged before in the minor leagues. He went through slumps, he worked out of it. Little different level here at the big leagues, right? But I'm confident that he's got the skill set to work out of it, and the mental toughness as well.
Bob, I know you're a humble guy, so before you answer this question, I you had a 9-year career in Major League Baseball. It's very impressive, regardless of what any type of the stats are. For you as a pitcher, what were some of the adjustments that were difficult for you when you got to the big leagues, and how does that work with pitchers? I mean, are there certain pitches that teams would then learn from Bob Scanlon of we should just spit on this pitch, and what were some of those personal experiences like for you as you had to adjust the league and navigate through your career?
Yeah, no, the first one was having to learn that I could not throw the ball by everybody at the big league level. I was a hard thrower. I was 96 with a power sinker, and through the minor leagues, when push came to shove, when I had problems, what was the answer? Rear back and throw harder, right?
Right.
Just get by guys. That didn't work in the big leagues, and it took me a while to figure that out. And I was stubborn and hard-headed, and I felt like, okay, well, maybe I need to throw harder if they're catching up to my throwing harder. So I kept trying to do more intense, and the more I tried to throw harder, not only were they able to catch up to it, but because I was muscling up to do it, my pitch got flat. So not only am I not throwing harder, but I got less action on my pitch, and it just was getting tallywhacked all over the place. So first thing I had to learn was how to take something off. I had to rely more on off-speed pitches. I had to start learning that even when I do need to rear back for a little bit extra, because sometimes you have to do that, and it's certainly justifiable and sometimes appropriate, there's a way to do it without muscling up, so that when you throw the ball, it actually comes out a little hotter, still has some life on it, and you got a better chance of getting it by the guy instead of muscling up. So those were the two things that for me physically, that I needed to learn. And then the other thing I started to learn, Braden, was what hitters were doing, right? So much has been focused on what do I need to do as a pitcher to make my pitches or attack these guys or whatever it was. But then the other part of it is understanding your opponent. What is he trying to do? Why is this happening? Why is that happening? And so being able to talk to, I was really lucky. I had Joe Girardi as one of my catchers. Damon Berryhill was one of my catchers, two very cerebral guys. I had Greg Maddux on my pitching staff, one of the smartest pitchers in the game. So I had great mentors around me to sort of explain to me, this is why that batter just took a slider right down the middle of the plate, right? This is why this guy just took a fastball in that zone and didn't even try to swing at it. It was starting to understand, oh, here's what the hitter's trying to do. Here's his approach. Here's how he's trying to work me. And so once I started understanding that part of it as well, then I could start making better adjustments in terms of, okay, now I know why that guy's hitting my slider, and because he's not even looking for a fastball. He knows he's going to get a slider for me, and he just sits there and he hunts for it. Or this guy knows that I like to throw my two-seamer inside to him, and that's why he's able to turn on it all the time. I've got to start throwing some four-seamers away, whatever it may be. Just the cat and mouse that comes into it, and sort of what we were talking about earlier about the league adjusting. That's the fun part. First, learning yourself and how to manage yourself, and what pitches you have and how you can control them and locate them and how they work off each other. And then the next part, the really fun part, is, okay, and what is that guy trying to do against me? What is their lineup trying to do? What is their approach to me early in counts, later in counts, with runners on base, not runners on base, whatever it may be. And that's really the chess match and the art of pitching that I really enjoyed and was able to learn from some of the guys that I had mentioned previously.
Well, I want to incorporate all of that into like the overall offense, right? I mean, everybody goes like, well, Steven Souza Jr. Can't get the job done as a hitting coach because look at the offense right now. They're not making the adjustments. Their approach stinks. And my argument every time is unless you're in those meetings, you don't really know what their approach is anyway. And all the information that you just gave about yourself and trying to do that as you go out and face the best hitters on the planet, it's kind of hard to put it all together on a consistent basis. And I think it really outlines just how difficult it is for even players like the stars that the Padres have to be able to incorporate some of these things, make those adjustments, and have success when I think a lot of fans, just hope that it happens the next day. This stuff does take some time.
No doubt about it. You're doing it at the highest level, right? And these guys are trying to they're pretty darn good on the mound, I would say. And, it's a combination of, from an offensive standpoint, what is your overall organizational philosophy and game plan in terms of here's what we're trying to do. But then there's also, as we just talked about, there's the personal side of each guy, what he is personally potentially struggling with, right? I mean, we were talking about Jackson and his challenges with off-speed pitches. For Manny, I think at times it's been high velo fastballs that he normally gets to that he's not gotten to on a consistent basis this year, which then sets him up to chase breaking balls away. Laureano's had trouble with off-speed pitches this year. So for each guy, they have their own internal battle going on top of, okay, what are we trying to do as an offensive unit? And when each guy is when you have key guys that are struggling personally, that can affect the overall effectiveness of your overall unit, right? So they kind of go together. But hopefully some of these guys start figuring the personal sides out, start putting some better plate appearances together. And you know how it is. It can be contagious. And one guy's doing well, and that takes the pressure off the other guys. And you feel more comfortable passing the baton along. You feel like it doesn't have to always be on me because the guy behind me can get it done. When things aren't going well, everybody tries to start fixing it themselves. And that can really send you down a very dangerous rabbit hole.
Last thing for you, Bob. We're talking to Bob Scanlon as we do on Thursdays here on the Braden Surprenant Show, kind of analysis of what's been going on with Padres baseball. I really liked the way Walker Buehler pitched yesterday. I mean, he faced the minimum up into the last inning. I thought he had a really good bounce back, really matched Christopher Sanchez. In fact, I mean, it might not show it on the stat sheet, but I thought at certain points of the game, he looked like he was pitching better than Christopher Sanchez. He was getting the double play balls. I mean, that was a great performance out of a fifth starter, potentially in a rotation. I understand why Craig Stammen went to the bullpen with two lefties coming up, third time through the order with your number 5 starter. I get it with the amount of pitches, but we've seen a lot out of Walker Buehler now. I think he's going out there and competing. What have you seen as he tries to reinvent himself from the guy that used to blow the ball past people to now somebody that has, pitched to his strengths and pitched to his defense?
Yeah, I agree with you 1,000%. I thought it was a great outing by Walker. To your point, a lot of ground balls. Did a great job of he used his sinker really well, used his four-seamer as well, used his cutter very effectively. Those were the 3 primary pitches, along with some curveballs and some changeups. But I agree. I thought it was a great outing. And we've seen, 4 or 5 now consistent outings of him getting to the 5th inning or more. So, and that was sort of the question early on in the season, if you may recall. The first couple of innings looked great. And then all of a sudden, 3rd inning, 4th inning, 5th inning, things started to get a little bit fuzzy. Now we're seeing him stay consistent with the quality of his stuff and his offerings through the 5th inning. And really, there have been a couple of these games where, to your point, he could have gone deeper, but didn't have any run support. The game is on the line in a 1 or 2 run ball game, and you can't blame Craig for going to the bullpen, for the lefty-lefty matchup against Schwarber. So some outings where, had he gotten some run support, probably could go even deeper into these games. But the point is, he's gotten better at maintaining the mechanics and the changes that he and Ruben were working on in spring training and maintaining those for a longer period of time now. Now it's not just through 20 or 30 pitches. Now it's up to 50, 60, 70, 80 pitches, and he's still able to consistently execute. So I agree. It's all going in the right direction. It's been fun to watch him continue to grow, and I think he's been doing a fine job out there, and hopefully even more to come, right?
Absolutely, Bob. We appreciate the time as always. And enjoy the rest of your off day. We'll be off next week. Obviously, you're going to be in Philadelphia with the Pods. Hopefully, talking about a series win in Philadelphia, and then we'll see you again the following week on the show. So we appreciate the time as always, and I look forward to talking in a couple of weeks.
Braden, always enjoy it. You and Frank keep up the great work. And, yeah, hopefully we're talking about a win next Thursday.
That sounds great. Bob Scanlon joining us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bang Banking. It's better. We have to take a break. As we go to break, actually, no, never mind. We're going to do that the final segment. We have more fair tickets to give away. We'll be doing that going into the final segment. We do have to take a quick break, though. When we come back, we'll talk about the labor negotiations and how they affect the Padres. Braden Surprenant Show, Standing Storm Sports Station 97 through the Fan. San Diego High School sports just delivered a historic postseason weekend, and the separation between elite programs and everyone else is starting to show. On the track, Steel Canyon broke a 49-year-old record in a 4x100 relay, while stars like Chiara Daly and Malia Jones continued posting state-leading performances. In tennis, both Torrey Pines and CCA ran into Orange County powerhouses in a regional playoff, showing just how competitive the next level really is. Meanwhile, in softball, Mission Hills is dominating the postseason with back-to-back elite pitching performances out of Aloha Motas. And in baseball, Eastlake keeps rolling with a 13-game win streak into the semifinals. So are San Diego's top programs pulling away, or is this still just anyone's postseason to take? This week in San Diego High School sports, it was defined by postseason chaos, from track records to sectional dominance to playoff baseball intensity, state-level tennis battles, and dominant pitching performances shaping the softball landscape. Across the board, teams and athletes are now officially in win-or-go-home mode. In track and field, San Diego section track meet delivered historic moments. Steel Canyon's girls 4x1 relay broke a 49-year-old section record, running a 45.78, rewriting history dating back to the 1977 Crawford team. Elsewhere, La Jolla's Chiara Daly continued her dominance with a 1,600 win in 4 minutes and 4:54, and remains the state leader in the 1,600 at 4:39. Oceanside's Malia Jones added to her triple jump lead with a state top mark of 40.8. Helix freshman Ava Parker swept 200 and 400, showing major future upside. Del Norte, Westview, and Steel Canyon all posted top-tier championship performances across events, and the theme was records are falling, but the gap between elite and chasing pack is still razor thin. In boys tennis, in Southern California Regional Championships, two of the county's best programs ran into elite competition. Torrey Pines fell 6-1 to Corona Del Mar. Canyon Crest Academy lost 5-2 to Woodbridge. Ashken Sade earned Torrey's lone win in singles, while CCA picked up doubles victories from Ethan Carson, Kengo Fukushi, and Julius Toda and Calvin Carlander. An important context here, these two programs have completely dominated San Diego tennis for nearly a decade, trading CIF Open Division titles almost every year. But at the regional level, the depth of Orange County programs showed just how thin the margin is for state supremacy. In softball, you saw dominant pitching drives, playoff chaos. Mission Hills is making a serious postseason push behind one of the hottest pitchers in the section. Senior Aloha Motas threw a 2-hit shutout with 15 strikeouts against Cathedral Catholic just 2 days after throwing a no-hitter. She's now striking out batters at an elite clip and has become the engine behind the Grizzlies team, now one win away from a section title appearance. The defining factor in softball right now is simple. If you have a true ace, you're alive. If you don't, you're on the edge of elimination. As for baseball, we are getting down to the semifinals. They're happening as we're recording this on a Tuesday. There will be, if necessary, games on Wednesday, and the finals will be on Saturday. But if you look at how everything's going right now in the semifinals, Cathedral Catholic is playing Patrick Henry in one side of the bracket for the Open Division. On the other side, it's Eastlake and Point Loma. Point Loma and Patrick Henry both have to win twice to advance to the Open Division finals at 6 o'clock at Fowler Park at USD. In Division 1, La Costa Canyon and Mount Carmel have made it to the semifinals. The Sun Devils of Mount Carmel have to beat LCC twice to punch their ticket to the finals. La Jolla Country Day has to beat Madison twice if they want to make it to the finals for Division 1. That will be a 2:30 game on Saturday. In Division 2, also championship games on the line at Fowler Park. This will be at 11 o'clock on Saturday. Christian is playing Santa Fe Christian on Tuesday. If Christian wins, they're in. Santa Fe Christian would have to win twice. Helix and Bonita Vista have made it through the lower bracket of Division 2. If Helix wins, they're playing at 11 o'clock at USD on Saturday. If they lose, they got to play Wednesday again against Bonita Vista.
as the Bonita Vista has to win twice coming from the losers bracket. In Division 3, it's Ramona and La Jolla. And La Jolla, if they're able to survive on Tuesday, would have had one of the craziest runs in the postseason. La Jolla started the playoffs in Division 3 playing at Vista. Let's just think about this for a second in terms of travel. La Jolla High School had to go to Vista in round 1. The winner of that game, which was La Jolla, they won 8-4, had to go to Palo Verde Valley High School, which is out in Blythe, California, which is part of the San Diego section. They got the number 1 seed. La Jolla drove out to Blythe and lost. They got put in the losers bracket. They hosted Rancho Buena Vista, and they won an extra inning 6-5, which made him go back to Blythe because Palo Verde lost to Ramona. And La Jolla went to Blythe and won that game 5-4. They play Ramona on the semifinals on Tuesday. If they win, they get to play Ramona again at Ramona. That would be a remarkable stretch to try to get to Friday and the Division 3 CIF finals. On the other side of the bracket, Westview is in the driver's seat. Otay Ranch, the 1 seed, after losing to Westview 5-4 in the winners bracket, knocked off Santana and is looking to try to beat Westview twice to 5 on a Thursday. We're going to get to this labor negotiations in just a little bit and kind of rehash that. We talked about that a lot in the noon hour. Overall, I think as these negotiations start to go about, there's a couple of things that I want to mention. One, this is the closest I've seen to these two entities being on the same page on a first proposal, at least in the last 6 years, right? That's my first takeaway. My second takeaway, the owners have never been more aligned to try to get a salary cap, I think, ever. And my third takeaway is if you kind of blend both the proposals, which are very similar already, I think it highly affects and benefits the San Diego Padres. I think it really benefits the Padres, which is great. So hopefully this starts to go in the right direction so we don't have to have a terrible, are we playing baseball or not, offseason. So let's hope for the best. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. If you want to join the show today. Dexter's called in a couple of times. We finally have time to get to Dexter. Here's Dexter in Spring Valley. What's going on, Dex?
Hey, fellas. I'm hoping that it's not going to be a strike. And I'm very optimistic that at least they're talking. Because remember in the past, they didn't start talking this early. They were almost like right up to the line. So the fact that they're starting so early, it shows that both sides are serious about avoiding a strike. So that's a good thing. All right, boys, get ready for the whistle because Draymond's back. Number one, your OTL team, come on, you should know better. You should be naming it Natural Casings. Number two, it's a good one. You guys are talking about the whole curse of the President's Cup and the Avalanche, getting blown out. Well, here we go. You might say that the Avalanche caved into the Golden Knights. All right, boys, there you go. Blow the whistle and go Padres.
Oh, my God. Draymond Green of Callers is back. Dexter wanted to foul out early today. Well, it's actually a little bit late. And in the meantime, he has crippled the casings. Frank has just collapsed on the keyboard in front of the board instead of awarding the foul. It's time to award the foul. Hit the wrong button. Foul on you.
He draws the foul. He draws the foul.
So bad. I need my guy Tim Day to drop some of his dad jokes in there sometimes. I mean, I would the Tim Day Dexter from Spring Valley dad joke off would feed families.
Just stop calling him Dexter in Spring Valley. Just call him Draymond.
Draymond in Spring Valley.
Draymond Green in Spring Valley.
Oh my God. Hilarious.
I've been getting a ton of those here recently.
Well, like memes?
No, a bunch of dad jokes sent to me. I could share some if you would like.
You know what? Why not? I mean, you can foul yourself out.
Okay.
You know what? You can't foul yourself out tomorrow because you got to help out Gwen and Chris. Just call Adam. Are you running the board for Gwen and Chris?
Sorry, fouled out.
I fouled out, dude. I don't know what to tell you. The ref, man, he's blowing the whistle all day. Let the boys play.
Air used to be free at gas stations. Now it costs $2.50. Why?
Why?
Inflation.
Give yourself a foul, dude.
Oh, don't worry.
You got to chalk it up before you start the next one.
He draws the foul.
First personal, first team foul.
Did you hear about the fire at the circus?
No, it sounds terrible.
It was intense.
Second personal, second team foul.
He draws the foul.
Bacon and eggs walked into a bar. The bartender said, "Sorry, we don't serve breakfast."
Foul.
Oh, you don't have to say it. I know. I know.
You're about to get ejected. This is too many fouls in a short period of time. Somebody put him on the bench. Coach, call a timeout.
What did one ocean say to the other?
What?
Nothing. They just waved.
He draws the foul.
I'm done now.
What coffee did they serve on the Titanic?
I don't know.
Senka.
He draws the foul.
Too soon? You haven't heard that one? The dumb jokes. There's a great, I'm pretty sure you can look up dumb jokes. That was one of the ones that
I'm sure.
Up. I used to have this. I forget who there's two comedians that did a clip of it. They would just tell each other dumb jokes and they were reading them.
Yes.
There's a couple that they would just start laughing in between. They couldn't say it. The dad joke off would be awesome.
Horrible.
There's so many people that are just cringe crashing right now on the freeway. I can't wait for the next traffic update. Well, they were listening to the dumb jokes by Frank and they drove themselves off the interstate.
Let's get Odyssey legal, whether or not we could do a dad joke off one day.
I'm going to say no. The liability's too much. The liability's too much. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. We do have another 4-pack of tickets.
Oh, no.
For the
I just
San
got
Diego
sent
Fair.
another one.
San Diego County Fair, June 10th to July 5th. If you want to go, now's your time. Call in, be the 5th caller. When we go to break, you will win a 4-pack of tickets to the San Diego County Fair. Return to Del Mar Fairgrounds, June 10th to July 5th. Details at SanDiegoFair.com. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. We'll talk about the CBA when we come back.
The NBA playoffs are absolutely delivering right now, and the biggest story might be Victor Wembanyama announcing himself as the future face of the league. The Spurs and Thunder are tied 2-2 in the Western Conference Finals after Wembanyama dropped 41 points and 24 boards in a double overtime Game 1 masterpiece, and then followed it up with another dominant performance in Game 4 to even up the series. But Oklahoma City keeps responding behind MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the deepest bench left in the playoffs. This series feels destined for 7 games. Meanwhile, out east, the New York Knicks are 1 win away from the NBA Finals after taking a shocking 3-0 lead over the Cleveland Cavaliers. Jalen Brunson has completely taken over this postseason, and the Knicks have now won 10 straight playoff games. Right now, it feels like we're heading towards a dream finals matchup between the New York Knicks and the Oklahoma City Thunder, unless Wembanyama has something to say about that. Western Conference playoff has been an absolute bloodbath. It has been the matchup that everybody wanted between the defending champion Oklahoma City Thunder and the rising San Antonio Spurs, and it has absolutely delivered. The Knicks out east are 1 win away from their first NBA Finals appearance since 1999 after completely taking control against the Cleveland Cavaliers after Game 1. We'll start with the West. This series has turned into a heavyweight fight between Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Victor Wembanyama. Game 1 became an instant classic as Victor Wembanyama dropped 41 points and 24 boards in a double overtime win in Oklahoma City to steal home court advantage. Dylan Harper added 7 steals, and the Spurs showed zero fear against the defending champs, but Oklahoma City responded, which is exactly what championship teams do. Game 2, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander bounced back with 30 points as the Thunder used their depth and defense to even the series. Oklahoma City's bench completely changed the game, outscoring San Antonio's bench 57-25. Game 3, Oklahoma City erased a 15-point deficit early in San Antonio and dominated the second half behind SGA and another huge bench performance. The Thunder reserves scored 76 points in that game, showing why their depth might be the difference in this series. But just when it looked like Oklahoma City had the series completely under control, the Spurs punched back. Game 4 was vintage Spurs basketball as San Antonio held Oklahoma City to just 82 points, their second lowest playoff scoring total, not just this postseason, but in franchise history. Wembanyama looked unstoppable with 33 points and 8 boards, 5 assists, and 3 blocks, while the Spurs defense completely smothered the Thunder shooters. Now the series is tied 2-2, headed back to Oklahoma City, and this thing suddenly feels like it could go 7 games easily. The New York Knicks out east have completely taken over this series against the Cleveland Cavaliers, and honestly, this series changed completely in the fourth quarter of Game 1. The Cavs were leading by 22 points with under 8 minutes remaining before Jalen Brunson sparked one of the greatest playoff comebacks we have seen in years. The Knicks closed regulation on a 30-8 run, forced overtime, and completely flipped the momentum of the series. Since then, Cleveland has looked rattled and defeated. Game 2 featured Josh Hart scoring a career playoff high 26 points while the Knicks defense locked everything down again as they've done all postseason. And then in Game 3, New York dominated from the start to finish behind Brunson, Mikal Bridges, and OG Anunoby's great games. The Knicks have now won 10 straight playoff games, and almost every victory has been by double digits. The scary part for the rest of the league is this isn't just Brunson carrying anymore. Karl Anthony Towns is facilitating. Hart is hitting big shots. Bridges is defending at a high level, and the Knicks are playing with incredible confidence and toughness. It has been a great, great series to watch, especially if you're like me and a New York Knicks fan. But what to watch coming up over the course of this week, again, as we record this on Monday. Can Oklahoma City regain control at home in Game 5 against the San Antonio Spurs? That's going to be a big one. Will Victor Wembanyama continue building his superstar playoff legacy? Can the Cleveland Cavaliers avoid getting swept? And are the Knicks officially becoming America's team during this playoff run? Because right now these playoffs feel wide open, and every game is producing one unforgettable moment after another.
America's team, really? What are they giving you a hard time for?
Blame ChatGPT for that. I will put my hand up. I could have also
Another
not
foul.
said it, but
Fifth.
He draws the foul.
You
I
fouled
also
out in
could-
college, but In the NBA, it's got one left.
I also could have not said it, so I'll take the foul on it.
I didn't realize the Knicks were America's team.
No, it said, are the Knicks becoming America's team based off of this playoff run? They're certainly becoming the WWE's team, as Danhausen has really been good to the Knicks. Wasn't good to the Mets, though, which is interesting.
I'm going to tell you right now, if the Thunder up 3-2, they play tonight. If the Thunder beat the Spurs and go to the finals, based on all the flopping and based on like having to listen to Chris Ello bitch about the flopping every single time the Thunder play, the Knicks would be America's team in the finals.
Only use ChatGPT to summarize. That's it. We get a bunch of articles together. We summarize them through ChatGPT for those breaks. It's nice to know that you guys listen, because you guys rarely ever react to it.
Are those casings real or are they artificial?
Yeah, so we're gonna start putting outlandish stuff in every single one of them, just to make sure you guys are actually listening to them.
Use your brain, Juan says. He's upset that he was caller number 1 during the break.
It's faster.
All right. Let's get to what Ella was saying today on the roundtable before we talk about the
Nate,
CBA.
By the way.
He calls you Stephen A.
Stephen A. Casings.
That's awesome. All right. Chris Ella was talking about this on the roundtable, about the collective batting averages in Major League Baseball. The last time I'm pretty sure it was like the last time, he was going on a tangent, but the last time a team that won the World Series hit, I think it was like under 2 something, whatever it was the Detroit Tigers in 1968. In 1968, the Tigers won the World Series with a team batting average of 235. What is the significance of 1968? Well, in 1968, that was the last year before they moved the mound down because of a lot of different things that happened. Bob Gibson had a 1.12 ERA. 7 starters had an ERA under 2. Carl Yastrzemski won the batting title with a 301 batting average, and 7 teams hit 230 or lower. The next year, they moved the mound down because it was so ridiculous. The Tigers won the World Series that year. They hit collectively 235 for a batting average. The league average for batting average in Major League Baseball in 1968, the year before the Padres existed in 1969, was 237. And the idea of this conversation was the fact that obviously the Padres aren't hitting very well. But do you know that the league average in Major League Baseball right now is it's now gone up, but it's only 3 points higher than the league average the year it was like the worst offensive year for Major League Baseball hitters? We're 3 points higher than that right now in 2026. So as much as, a World Series team hasn't won without, everybody collectively is not hitting throughout Major League Baseball. Not to say that's an excuse, because the Padres are in last in that particular category. But I would imagine, Frank, a lot of the conversations around the United States on Odyssey sports stations that have baseball teams are probably bitching about their batting averages.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. 100%.
I can't believe how low some of these are.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just blown away by the response. I just saw the response from the Players Association. I'm in disbelief.
I'm not in disbelief per se. I'm sure they'll be all upset about it.
I can read it for you.
Okay, so we had the 2 proposals that were out. I think they're both solid and good framework. After the Players Association released their thing yesterday, which again, if you want to go back and listen to what it was, you can go back. We talked about it for the last kind of hour. Major League Baseball's response was, we appreciate the union making a set of proposals. We look forward to continuing the bargaining process, working towards solving the competitive balance problem our fans are telling us needs to be addressed. We understand their proposals are designed to benefit players. Unfortunately, they do not address, and in fact, exacerbate. What is that word again? Exacerbate the competitive balance problem our fans are telling us we must address. The Players Association proposal would reduce the amount transferred to lower level clubs, weaken competitive balance, yada, 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 yada. And they use an example. The Dodgers would pay less in luxury tax payments, giving them an additional $70 million to spend on the payroll. Overall, I thought that was a pretty fair response to the Players Association. Major League Baseball then released their proposal today. Makes a lot of sense. There is, in fact, a salary cap. Salary cap is at $244 million potentially, $171 million salary floor, 50-50 split on revenue, and a collective, all of the centralizing the TV networks in terms of all the individual TV money. Seems like a pretty good idea. Frank and I, before you say that, Frank, you and I both agree that both sides are I like a lot of these ideas. The players had more of the, okay, you're kind of pushing it, but I understand where they're coming from. I thought the owner's pitch was fair.
Yes.
And could be negotiated.
Mm-hmm.
What did the Players Association say to that?
This is from Jesse Rogers, the MLB Players Association response in part into today's proposal. Quote, the owners responded today with a demand for a salary cap program, something that generations of players have fought against. The last time the owners made such an explicit push for a cap over 30 years ago, it led to the longest work stoppage in MLB history. For generations, our members have fought against cap system because they harm players at all levels, erode or eliminate contractual guarantees, pit player against player, lead to more work stoppages, not less, and get worse for players over time. Caps don't lower ticket prices for fans, eliminate tanking, or ensure teams are run with equal competence. They suffocate competition by offering owners an all-purpose excuse for inaction and mediocrity. I hate all of you. That last part I added.
There's nothing of substance that comes from the Players Association on that quote. They're grasping at straws to not have the term cap in the negotiations.
When they proposed
basically a cap. It just wasn't called a cap. It was like, oh, you get taxed, but you can go over it because our best players need to get paid more.
They proposed a cap and floor and didn't call it a cap and floor. Major League Baseball proposed a cap and floor, called it a cap, and now all of a sudden it's the most egregious thing ever.
They wanted the minimum spending for everything and then unlimited funds. And I'm telling you, after the first round of these negotiations, I like the owner's proposal a lot more than I like the players' one.
The owners, if I'm the owners, don't even respond to that. Please. If you're Major League Baseball, do not respond to that. Do not interrupt your opponent while he's making a mistake. The Players Association over the last 7 or 8 months, at the very least, have done absolutely nothing but hurt their own argument in the court of public opinion. You are now winning the battle in the court of public opinion. Do not respond to them by saying some sort of nonsense. You're winning right now. Don't say anything.
I don't understand the whole it hurts players. I don't get it. They're still getting paid the same amount.
Yeah,
what hurts the players.
Because Ohtani can't make $70 million a year.
No, he can. No, he can. There's nothing against those guys making the amount of money they have. They just can't be on a stacked team. That's it. But the players want to be able to all get paid what they want to get paid and all be on the same team. It doesn't work like that. That doesn't make a competitive league. That's the only thing they're looking for. You can pay Shohei Ohtani $70 million a year. You can. Your lineup is just going to suffer for it because you have spent all your money on one player that gets paid a high amount. It's not that crazy.
Smash, please stop. Enough.
Smash has no idea what he's talking about when it comes to finances or when it comes to politics or whatever he potentially puts on there. He just spreads nonsense of stuff that he believes in, and it gets to a different level.
It's tiresome.
It's very tiresome. We're talking about the negotiations of the contracts here. And at the end of the day, Major League Baseball needs to. How about this? All you need to know about what the fans are looking for is competitive balance. And you have it in all of the other leagues. And you have salary caps in these other leagues. And this fake sense of if they put in a cap, it's not going to accomplish what it wants. It is. It's going to accomplish exactly what it wants. At least at that point, everybody's playing by the same rules. Under a collective bargaining agreement, they can do whatever they want. That's why, even in the chat about they can't force teams to pay more. They can. They've made the agreement. If the Dodgers agree to do it, they can do it. And the Dodgers have already agreed to do that because the Dodgers owner has flat out said in an article by Bill Shakin that they can't win all the time. And they need more parity and literally all facets of the game. I mean, the number one team that's benefiting the most right now by the current CBA has flat out said, we need to change this. We can't win every single year, and we win because we spend more money. He literally said in a direct quote, money helps us win. We need to change this. They're going to agree to it. If they agree to pay it, they're going to agree to payment, and they're going to change whatever court ruling was on the McCourt group of the payoff of the centralized TV. That gets thrown out as soon as you make a new deal. But I don't understand the whole, it's going to affect it. All it's going to do, you can't have stacked teams in Major League Baseball.
It's not. It's fear mongering.
It is.
That's
It's
all
fear
it is.
mongering.
It's fear mongering at its finest. And again, if you're the players, you're making more money than anyone. So people already have no sympathy for you. The owners are making more money than you are, so they definitely don't have sympathy for them. But right now, the players are losing this fight in the court of public opinion, and by doing stuff like this, by continuously saying, "Oh, baseball is going to go down," unless we get what we want, you're not going to have a sport anymore. You're only going to lose more and more people in the court of public opinion there.
I just love how they the players push at the NFL about how it's terrible and it's mediocre and all this other stuff while they all play fantasy football and they all watch it all the time. And when we go in the clubhouse, what's on television during the fall?
NFL.
It's the NFL. They can't get enough of it. But then they sit there and go, "Oh yeah, look, salary cap doesn't work. Just look at the NFL." Excuse me? Those guys are all making tons of money too. The difference is,
and they're all in the playoffs every year,
right? They're all changing exactly. They're I understand what the players are afraid of in the long term. They're afraid of not having guaranteed contracts. That's not what we're talking about here.
No,
you could still get paid the amount of money you're getting paid. You just don't get to be surrounded by talent. It's not crazy.
And of the three major sports that have salary caps, only one of them does not have fully guaranteed contracts. The NBA and NHL are fully guaranteed contracts, and there's no sign or inkling that they want to change that anytime soon.
Did you look at the comments of that tweet by Jesse Rogers?
No.
Oh, it's not great for the players.
Of course it's not. Of course it's not. They're being extra greedy, and the only time that works is when you have the popular mandate. They don't. The owners out of these first proposals and first rebuttals, the owners by far look like the better choice.
Everybody in the comments is every other major sports league in the United States has a salary cap, and they don't seem to be hurting right now.
No.
It's true. It's true. We'll see what happens. But point one goes the owners right now. We'll talk more about it tomorrow. Quinn and Chris coming up next.